Good afternoon. Welcome once again back to the 1873 TV, where we are continuing to reimagine Zimbabwe. Imagine this was 1980 and you were about to embark on an untrodden path. And that path took you to where Zimbabwe is today. What would you say to yourself? Am I responsible, or somebody else ought to have known better? This is your show. Welcome. And we hope you can also participate, because it's out of participation that we all can talk to and be active citizens or agents of the choices we may wish to make. All I can talk to is, to some, a broken record, because everyone who hears me talk, every other sentence would actually include Shabani Mashaba Mines, as if it's my second name. But actually it's not. So many questions come, repetitive questions though, of people who actually cannot imagine how this company was acquired. So they always wonder, what is the real story? Because they simply cannot believe the story, because it's too good to be true, and people don't want stories that look like a movie. And when they find no other rational explanation, they will create one. Good afternoon, Advocate Matiza.
Afternoon, Ramtumwa and listeners.
Yeah. We are talking here about, the topic is just simple, reimagining Zimbabwe.
Mm-hmm.
Where can one start? In search of the right idea that will ignite people into action.
Mm-hmm.
And we are just using the SMM case study as just one of many examples. Other people say, why SMM?
Yes.
And
that's a valid question.
That's always a valid question.
Mm-hmm.
In as much as you can say, I can only talk to what I know. But some of the people who ask the question are actually Christians.
Mm-hmm.
And they use Jesus as reference. But
that's what they know.
But they don't know Jesus. Some even are born again because they believe they are talking to him. But whatever he did, he left only stories. But how many of us actually want the living to tell history? History is what it is. Some think I'm trying to negotiate with somebody to get my companies back. That's how simplistic the mind is. They always look for a motive. Even if you die today, Advocate, there will still be a motive.
Very true.
So we are here just imagining, because we are saying, imagine SMM in 1996 through 2004. And if anyone is watching who knows about the story, please, let's share the stories. So what I thought today was just to start the company was taken over. It was taken over on the 6th September 2004. And if you go on the calendar, you will soon see that that company was taken over on a Monday. What does that tell you? It means the weekend was busy.
Yes.
It means people were at work.
On the Sunday.
On the Sunday. Friday, the regulations were passed. And immediately they went to work. So it tells you a lot of things. That when people are determined to do something, nothing will stand in their way. So I'm just posting the article that was published by the Herald on the sorry, it looks like we are okay. Can you hear me? Yeah.
I've got the article.
You got the article. Let me post it for the benefit of everybody. Okay, I've posted it on the Zimbabwe today. I hope people can access it. Let's see whether it comes through. Yeah, it's there. So let's open it and see what was the story. So it says Tuesday, the 7th of September of 2004. Herald reporter: state takes over Mawere's firms, not firm, firms. Yeah. So what was said then by the Herald? Government yesterday took over the running of troubled mining house, Shabani Mashaba Mines, to prevent its collapse and save thousands of jobs. That was in 2004. Today,
To save the collapse and to save jobs.
yeah,
The reason behind the so-called to save the collapse and to save the jobs.
yeah. So
That was
that was in
in 2004.
2004. Yeah,
Now it's 2017.
yeah.
Has those
Hello?
I'm saying that if those objectives you realized, or how far have they been realized?
No, first one, we are not talking about, yeah, we can talk about in hindsight when you look back, but we can also talk about what the state of mind was.
At the time.
First, that the car is broken down and we need a new driver for a car that is broken down. As a lawyer, if my car breaks down, does it warrant anyone looking for a driver?
No.
What will be the recourse? And to whom should the recourse apply?
It's your car that is broken down. So it is your duty to then find the mechanic.
Okay, they say they can't hear you.
It's the owner of the car
Yeah,
who has the responsibility to get the car fixed.
yeah.
Not a passenger of the car or
Hello?
Not a third party.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. So I'm saying it's the owner who has that obligation to make sure that he puts back the car on the road.
Okay.
Yes.
So first, in terms of property rights, who has the right to decide whether the car is troubled or not?
The owner.
So it will be the directors of the company.
Yes, in this case, yes. Oh, I'm still using your example.
Yeah.
In this case, if you apply to corporate environment, yes, so it will be now the director.
So if the company is troubled,
Yes.
it will be the directors of the company,
Mm-hmm.
and they would have consulted with
Yes.
the shareholder
Yes.
to say, what do we do in the circumstances?
Yes. In order
And-
to get the blessing of the shareholder.
And one of the remedies is to have a voluntary winding up of the affairs of the company.
Mm-hmm.
The other is to have an involuntary winding up,
Mm-hmm.
where a creditor who would have been adversely affected or likely to be adversely affected
Mm-hmm.
would then approach the court.
Yes, and I say that there's a possibility that this company, there's evidence that this company won't be able to meet its liabilities in the normal course of.
No, first you're saying the company is unable
Yes,
to pay what is due
when it becomes due.
and is unlikely to pay, even if we give it time.
Mm.
So that decision normally is made by the court or
Then,
by the directors.
mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
You are very correct.
Those are the people with the duty to protect the company. Is that correct?
Very correct.
If I'm a bad driver and you believe that I'm a menace to my own asset, would you take the car to prevent death? Or you allow me to be foolish enough to have what? To go into a calamity?
I'm trying to put it into context to say in the case that in these circumstances, on what basis would one then say, okay, no, look, the company is unlikely to is unable and likely to be unable to pay its debt?
Now, if you take for the company, first you must have knowledge about the affairs of the company.
Mm-hmm.
And who is entitled to know about the company? A pedestrian or an officer of the company?
An officer of the company is in a better position to know the affairs of the company.
In fact, in terms of the Companies Act,
Mm-hmm.
who bears the duty of care?
It's the director.
It's the directors.
Yes.
Then here you find the Minister of what? Justice. Far removed from the affairs of the company, with now a mind of his own, that in my mind something has invaded me,
Mm-hmm.
and now my head is pregnant with knowledge of something that has not happened, but something that is likely to happen.
What test does he subject that happening? Or that
No, the
occurring
man is
to
simply located outside the company. There is no file that passes through the Minister of Justice. Where?
So on what basis would he be informed to make such a decision?
No, I'm saying is, there is nothing that would allow a Minister of Justice to know about the affairs of a company.
Mm-hmm.
That's not his job.
Mm-hmm.
Yet in this case, you find the Minister of Justice saying, I want to prevent the collapse of a company in which I have no knowledge of. Just imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Insects get into the mind of the minister. And he's got a bad dream that this company is unlikely to survive. It is about to collapse from that dream.
And that thinking or that reasoning is not subjected to any form of verification.
No, it
or
can't.
Any form of validation.
It can't be, because the minister is just a pedestrian.
Yes.
He doesn't have anything to support, no jurisdictional facts, except that I have reason to believe me as Patrick Chinamasa.
That's dangerous.
No, it's not dangerous because he's not using his powers. He's using your powers. Were you aware of this?
I was not.
Yeah?
I was not.
You was not. You were not.
Before being involved in this discussion, I was not.
Okay. This is.
I got to learn through the
Yeah, this was reported in the Herald, so it was public information.
Mm-hmm.
It was online, so that anyone who wanted to see it online and acquaint themselves with what the reasoning was would have known this. This is a Minister of Justice, and you as an advocate, what is the job of the Minister of Justice ordinarily?
It's to do with court, administration of justice within the country.
Okay, so one
the
is
justice system, which is the court, officers of court, appointment of magistrates, prosecutors.
No, he doesn't. Does he administer the law officers?
No, but the system, his account is sort of.
No, there is a Chief Justice.
Yes.
Who is in charge? There's a Judicial Services Commission.
Yes.
Which is not the minister.
Exactly.
So the minister is only there to administer the laws which fall within the ambit of his ministry. But overall, he is actually in charge of what? Of promotion of justice. And being the political head of the ministry.
Yes.
And none of the functions of a Minister of Justice include knowing about which company is collapsing when or likely to collapse when. Would you agree?
I would agree. I'm trying to think the rationale or the basis of them making that.
No. When there is no rule of law, you don't even look for justice. Because I'm simply a person who is incapable of knowing that which I need to know to determine what I need to determine.
Yes, because I think what is happening here is a classic case of a public official who is usurping the powers of a tribunal, which is maybe a court, or to issue an order. Because that issue, that under on a normal course of events, such orders should be issued by a tribunal or a court or something.
Yeah.
But now you're having a political head issuing usurping, sort of overstepping their authority, because their authority is simply to promote, not to administer. So when you issue orders, that is not a public, that is not your
Can a minister in a functioning constitutional democracy issue any order at all?
In other circumstances, you may. I will give you an example of one.
Okay, give us.
The one of Immigration Act.
Yeah.
It allows the minister of what? I think it's Home Affairs to then issue an order, but that order is not final.
Okay, it's a limiting order issued by the Director General, the Permanent Secretary, or the Minister.
Yes, but that is to do with immigration law, which might be.
But it's provided for in the Act, is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's provided for in the Immigration Act. Yes.
Yeah. So it means first it must be tested to ensure that the minister cannot arbitrarily and unilaterally exercise that.
Exactly.
And it must be rational.
That is the quality. It must be reasonable. There
must be a reasonable test.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It should be that you just wake up and think that, okay, no, look, I think I need to fix this particular individual. Issue the order to fix it. No, there should be a rational process that informs that decision.
But ordinarily, affairs of companies, which ministry would they fall under ordinarily?
Ordinarily, they should not fall under a justice. You maybe find them under a commerce.
Under industry and commerce.
Yes, under industry and commerce.
And
that is the natural home for commercial.
The Companies Act will be administered in that ministry.
Yes.
Where you need to change directors, where you need to have capital increase. All these provisions of the Companies Act apply and are administered under the Department of Government. But Ministry of Justice is not one of those departments. Effectively, you are for you to be a company, what must precede that?
It's registration with Companies Act.
There must be a law. That's why people say we are a nation of laws. Because the company itself is a legal creature. It owes its existence to the law.
Correct. You are very correct.
The moment I place a company outside the Companies Act, what is it?
It's not a company.
But to borrow it from the Companies Act and place it in justice, that act itself requires alienation, isn't it? Which means I'm no longer doing the returns as required by law. Yeah? I'm no longer under a board. So it means effectively I've been taken out of where I belong for me to be a company.
Yes, it's very correct.
I've actually taken you as a human being and converted you into an animal.
Or into a fish.
Into a zoo.
And say you must live underwater.
I live underwater now.
You are not a human being anymore.
You are no longer a human being.
Yes.
Do you think people imagine this at independence?
No.
That this would happen?
No. People imagine the opposite.
Yeah, that a minister created from a struggle would then end up being this animalistic predator who say the ends justifies the means. Even things I'm not entitled to know, I now know.
Yes, but you see what happened? If you read this article, it was then closed in sort of a national interest or is a move to protect jobs, community, and shareholders and creditors. So I think that is the rule that without benefit of
so imagine you see someone's wife and you believe that she's going to be raped by her husband.
Yeah, yes.
Then you say, in order to prevent you from being raped, become my wife.
Yeah.
And I go to the president and say, President, I have reason to believe that Advocate Matiza, if left to his own devices, he is
in danger.
Is likely to endanger his wife. Then the president said, but there is no law that provides for that. Says, we make the law. We create a law to
now.
And actually, President, you have the powers to do that.
It's within your right.
You are the president. If you declare a person to be dead, he shall be dead. So, that is the case. So, we now have this minister has now stolen powers that are not reserved for him. He has gone over the fence. Now he's in the neighbor's yard. So we understand the first paragraph, but some people may have read it in 2004 but never understood. It's true.
I think I read it in 2004.
Yeah.
The way it was put, like I'm saying, there was this veil of national interest. There was a theme of national interest that ran through the whole story and the way it's packaged. And without a benefit of the other side of the story, like that we are having now, having the alternative narrative. The narrative in the Herald would lead you to think that, okay, no, look, this was actually a proactive government taking a proactive step to protect workers, to protect community, and to protect taxpayers' money. After you read this article, that's what will come to your mind.
Yeah, then some people say, but he didn't even pay Lobola. So how can he complain about the wife?
Remember, this is 2004.
Yeah, 2004.
Yeah.
Then you hear now the Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, not the Minister of Injustice or Illegality or Unparliamentary Affairs, but the Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, Comrade Patrick Chinamasa, appointed Minister Afaras Gwarazimba to be the administrator of SMM Holdings. The moment you know SMM Holdings, you know it's a company. The moment you hear that a minister is appointed somebody to preside over a company, it's no longer a company. Would you agree? Yeah?
Yes. But I'm trying to think that in cases of judicial management, where the court then appoint a judicial manager.
Okay.
But in this one now, the problem is that the order is not coming through a process of a process. What can you say? A fair process. Where
No. You know why there's a separation of powers. First, it means there must be a dispute, justiciable dispute, for which the courts have to adjudicate. And there would have been two parties.
Yes.
One a creditor and another debtor. And the creditor would be complaining and going before the court to say this person owes me this, so there must be existence of indebtedness. Secondly, there is no other recourse except to seek an order of court. The creditor will then issue papers. And if you go to court without serving the papers on your counterpart, on the debtor, the court will not entertain.
They'll say go back.
Find the debtor. Because you guys know each other. When you are giving each other money, you knew each other. In your agreements, there would be an address to serve. That's why in every agreement there must be a place where you serve papers, is it? And you must provide for the address.
Yes.
So that in the event of a dispute, I don't have to come and fight you. I just serve papers on you and we meet in court. Is that correct?
Yes.
Then the court will then consider submissions for and on behalf of the creditor and submissions for and on behalf of the debtor. Then arrive at a determination. First, that there is an existence of a relationship. The quantum of what is owed. And then apply the solvency test, that you are unlikely to pay, unable to pay. You may be willing to pay, but you simply are unable to discharge your obligation. Is that correct?
Yes.
Then it will then grant an order in favor of the applicant, who will be the creditor. And if judicial management is the same thing. The creditor has no power to place the counterpart debtor into any form of judicial management. Otherwise, they call it what? Self-help, is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
You are becoming an umpire in your own court.
Yeah.
Yes, let's continue.
Yeah. Okay. David South is not interested. He's saying, how can you put a proposal later? How can you write a proposal later on how to start up a project, especially in the mining sector, for foreign investors? David, we are talking about an issue here of imagining Zimbabwe, and in the same imagining, you are now throwing a new one. Are you listening to what we are talking about? Or this is not a matter of your interest? Because I hope the country is not Zimbabwe. And if it is, you are saying the foreign investors must not know what you need to know. That here you have a minister 13 years ago who does this, and the law exists. And then David says, I'm listening. Okay. So that would be judicial management. And the minister has no right whatsoever to then issue an order, limit the rights of others, and appoint his own entourage to do anything in respect of property that he has no relationship with. Then they go again, and Mr. Forbes Mugumbati and Mr. Robert Kaisi, assistant administrators for Shabani Mine and Gates Mine respectively. The two mines fall under African Associated Mines, a subsidiary of SMM Holdings, which was the wrong characterization. African Associated Mines was just a company whose trading name was used, but itself was not a trading company. Mr. Gwaradzimba...
What is the trading name for which one?
The mines were, for the trading purposes, they were called African Associated Mines. But it was a division of SMM Private Limited.
Okay.
So it was not a legal entity per se.
It was just a TA.
It was trading as African Associated in respect of the mines.
Okay.
Mr. Gwaradzimba is a senior accountant at AM Global, while Mr. Mgumbati and Kaisi are geologists with the Ministry of Mines and Mine Development. So the control and management of the company was divested without any court involvement, but pursuant to the whims of the minister. Then it goes on to say their appointments, which were announced in a notice in an extra government gazette released yesterday. Extraordinary government gazette for a company administered in terms of the Companies Act. You did company law. Is it your understanding that an extraordinary government gazette would apply to the powers of a company or the affairs of a company?
If you look at the Companies Law, the Companies Act, it then regulates the best, if I may use an example or a phrase to refer to the creation or the birth of companies. It also then deals with the life and the death of companies. So the birth, life, and death of companies is regulated in the Companies Act. That's the purpose. So for one then to go outside the Companies Act and do the specific feature of the life of the company would be, if there's need, then you then go and amend. If there is some way where the Companies Act is insufficient, then it provides for amendments.
Okay.
The idea of the Companies Act is to deal with the birth, life, and death of companies.
Okay. So
yes.
You are saying that there is no provision that would allow a government gazette that apply to governmental matters to apply in respect of a company.
Where the Companies Act exists, yes.
No, this is a coup d'etat. This is not a normal business. This is what you call invasion of a company. So the minister simply says anything that is in Zimbabwe is fair game. And I'll do as I think. Then he says, released yesterday were made in terms of the presidential powers, temporary measures, reconstruction of state indebted insolvent companies, regulations 2004, gazetted last Friday. Do you see the import of that?
Yes, we have in the separate law.
Yeah. No. You are saying that presidential powers are now applying in respect of a company.
Yes.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And that regulations is regulations an act of parliament.
No.
What is the difference between regulations and an act?
Regulations give effect to an act. An act is passed by the parliament, and then regulations themselves to give effect to the act.
But can regulations exist
Without an act? No.
without an act?
No.
In this case, there were regulations standing on their own that permitted the minister to undermine the constitution. And presidential powers are being used in this manner. Huh? It's your government, advocate.
Yes.
And you are being told that your government is now simply pierced the corporate veil. And now is operating like it's in the animal kingdom. Do you see that?
I see that. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So so the minister is saying, I simply don't care about the law. I am the law. And David starts saying, so were there any legal aspects that were there to protect you from anyone or organizations or government to take over your company, especially the way they did to SMM? Because according to me, that was unethical. Ethics belongs elsewhere. David, a company is a legal creature. Without the law, there is no company. You appoint people in government to protect and promote that corporate person. You don't create laws. Then the people you appoint to protect them are the ones who break them. All we are saying is that the minister has no capacity or legal authority. Like Mugabe says, I will not appoint a successor, period. It's unlawful, it's unconstitutional. But the same person would then sign into law something that does the opposite. I hope, David, you can understand the hypocrisy. The only thing you can say, perhaps the government does not, the president does not know what you know. Because if you made him aware of this and he did nothing, then it means you don't need the election to remove him. Because he has already removed himself.
He has failed to uphold the law.
He has failed to uphold the law, so he can't come back to you and say, vote for me for another term. Because it is your duty to make sure that, Mr. President, what is unconstitutional, what is illegal, must remain unconstitutional and illegal. Even if your wife persuades you to appoint a successor or to appoint an administrator, you tell him, not in my name, because I know that the law limits. In that way, that's where you lost, because the ones who made the laws went on top of the law. I didn't lose anything, David. You lost something, because this article we are reading, it's 2000 what? And 4, which means it's what? It's 13 years old. Is that correct, Advocate?
Yes, from 2004, 14 years.
Yeah?
13 years.
13 years.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about a 13-year-old. Do you understand? Yeah?
Yes.
And this 13-year-old, David Tsatsa, can you confirm that you knew about this law? If you didn't, then you can just tell us. And if you want to know about it, then you can tell your Australian investors, if Zimbabwe is a country, to say, please look at this law and tell me whether this law can exist in Australia and remains Australia. Okay. The appointments mean the administrators have assumed control and management of the companies to protect creditors, imagine, and workers, and also assist in the revitalization of the affected companies. Imagine this is your wife who is not what? Who can't conceive.
Mm.
And the Minister of Justice comes in and says, I'll do it for you.
Yes.
And he goes to the president and gets presidential powers to do that. To say, this car is hopeless, it is broken down.
Mm-hmm.
And I will appoint someone to use it. The minister is not talking about a shareholder there. He's talking about creditors and workers. And revitalization. The shareholder, according to the minister, does not exist. This is on the 7th of September. And on Friday, the minister didn't know anything about the company. He was not supposed to know anything about the company.
And then Monday, he knows everything.
Monday is now the expert, a genius. Huh? Okay. And then under the regulation, the Minister of Justice appoints an administrator to steer the restructuring of state-indebted companies. So do you agree there's a new character of a company called state-indebted?
Yes.
Company. Wait, so it means that now there's an apartheid. There are companies that are not state-indebted, and now there are new companies called state-indebted. And if you are state-indebted,
what does that mean?
No, you are no longer subject to the Normal Companies Act. And who decide which of these companies must be placed under this new character called administrator? is the Minister of Justice. Who should be the one, who should be the last one? Like Mugabe says, I don't want to be involved in succession. Please leave me alone. Even my wife, my Minister of Justice and Vice President, please leave me alone. Do those things outside my knowledge. Yet in this case, the minister is going beyond that. David says, I'm learning a lot here, especially on the law. Thank you, David. It's a pity that we never learn. And imagine 1980. President Mugabe, you go to him and talk about company law. If he was honest, he would tell you, I walk on untrodden ground. Everything that I do is a precedent. I don't know about companies. And he would have been honest, like George Washington was honest.
Yes.
That I'm getting into a ground that I know very little about. What I know is that white people must not be trusted. But about companies, their existence, that I don't know. And then we say, how do we help our president to understand? Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let that knowledge that brings the fact to his disposal.
Yeah. Just hold on, advocate. We now have Mr. Simbamu Juru from the United States. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Mawere. How are you?
How are you? Have you been following?
Yes. I tuned in earlier.
Yeah. What is your take so far?
I know we take it back and forth on Sunday a little bit.
Yeah.
And first of all, I want to say you're courageous enough to come on and share your story. I think a lot of more people should do that. You know, I'm the one person that doesn't agree with you, but you have me on to actually discuss the issues. As to you, and I'll always respect you for that. Now, having said that, when you look at the issue, my whole take it was my contribution earlier on. I was saying we're mixing politics and SMM. The people who the people themselves have to be careful to say whose war is this. Number one, Matuma Mawera war is not my war, right? So as I look at the case, that's why I was saying put your cards on the table so you can tell us what's in it for you. Because the way we see the story, and I understand that you were hurt by the government. Everybody sees that. Everybody agrees with that. Nobody disagrees with that. But we are saying, what is your ownership to what happened? Because if you follow this case, which most of us have done, we might not have as much details as you have, but some stuff that's in the public domain, we've looked at it. Now,
okay, maybe you can tell us, Mr. Mjuru, when you say government, what is your understanding of what government is and is not?
Well, what constitutes government, right, are the elected officials that are given the task to handle the people's business.
Okay,
the business is the business of Zimbabwean citizens.
Okay, so a law, what does it mean to you?
A law is rules that are put within a community or a group of people that usually is voted by people. But this issue of SMM.
No, let's not talk. Let's not. We're just saying. Let's reimagine Zimbabwe and just deal with it. Take SMM out. Take Jesus out of life because we all die like him.
No. The reason why we have to keep on putting SMM is we've got to understand that if we make this argument on your turf, you're one of the brilliant minds that Zimbabwe has ever produced. So if
Mjuru, Zimbabwe.
putting it on your turf, then you
No,
going to
Mr.
understand
Mjuru, Zimbabwe
Right.
produces brilliant minds. I think I need to go to that factory.
I said you're one of them, and people should not underestimate you.
No.
That's a-
I'm saying it's not because of Zimbabwe. And I don't think Zimbabwe is capable of producing anybody. And your journey where you are, I think you have had sleepless nights trying to what? To do things in your own self-interest.
Well, let's agree to disagree, because if I'm a product born in Zimbabwe, went to school in Zimbabwe, I'm a product of Zimbabwe. So we can agree to disagree there. So
Okay.
Zimbabwe produced me because the environment or the culture or the context of the country produced a person called Simba Mjuru. So I'm a product of that.
I see.
institution.
Okay. I think we leave it there. You are a product of a factory called Zimbabwe.
I'm Zimbabwean and I'm proud of it.
Okay. No.
Zimbabwe, I think if Zimbabwe can produce men and women like you, then we have to acknowledge that we come from somewhere.
No, I think then let's go to the law. I think you seem to be having a different take in terms of public office bearers. And maybe I can start. You are in the United States. Which state are you?
I live in Michigan.
Okay. Do you know a person called George Mason?
I've heard of him. Yeah.
George Jefferson.
Yeah, the president of the former president of the United States.
Yeah. Do you know about the Declaration of Independence?
Absolutely, yeah.
Who wrote it?
Declaration of Independence was written by a few people, and obviously Thomas Jefferson was one of the main facilitators, not only just the Declaration of Independence, but the Bill of Rights too.
Yeah, that's
He
right.
also-
So if you look at
Louisiana Purchase,
yeah.
and almost most of the amendments came from Jefferson. So
Yeah, no, I'm saying is that there are two. There's a Virginia Declaration of Rights, and then there's the Declaration of Independence. And the Declaration of Rights was written by George Mason. So let's just go to what George Mason said. Maybe you may disagree, and or you may agree. But I find it very instructive that these guys in 1776, they were occupied with big ideas. One of the ideas that they came up with, or he came up with, was that all power is by nature vested in the people, and consequently derived from the same people. And governments are instituted by men to protect the rights of nature. What are those rights of nature? Life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. So if we agree that there is no reason for someone to be in government other than to give life to the rights of nature, because in the animal kingdom there's life. And animals are born, they also die. But there is no rule of law in the animal kingdom. So when we are discussing, I know you want to make it a personal issue. If it's a personal issue, then you must also accept, I must also have the right to pass laws.
I'm going to interject. I'm not trying to make it a personal issue.
But that's what you are saying. I don't know, Advocate Matiza, you are a lawyer. You have
I'm
heard.
not a lawyer.
Yeah?
I'm saying what Mason wrote in the 1700s was not a reflective of the entire population.
No, I'm just saying I'm persuaded by some of the arguments. Maybe we can bring Advocate Matiza. Do you understand what Mr. Mjuru is saying?
I haven't said anything yet.
No, I think you have made a point that this is your turf, and Facebook is my turf now.
No, I was just commenting on your intellectual capacity of the brains that you have. That's the comment I was making. But when you go and talk about the masons of those things that affected people in the 1700s, where black men and women were not compared to, so we're not talking about that. We want to talk about the issue today that we're facing today. There is the SMM story, a case where business students should really study and analyze and have you to answer questions. Yes, I believe that. Do I believe that the government did something wrong? Yes, I believe that. Do I believe that you have a responsibility that you did wrong too? Yes, I believe that. So
yeah, so let's go to the way you think I ought to have. I'm dealing with a law of government. The government can collect your revenue. Nobody else can collect. We agree that voluntary.
In the context,
voluntary.
Let's like I said, I'm going to be careful of falling into your intellectual spell. But let's look at the case as the case stands, right? We are saying SMM should understand that, number one, you guys were a majority of it, you were a mining company. Mines in Zimbabwe do not all belong to Matuma Mawere or Simbam Juru or Gabriel Mugabe. They belong to the people of Zimbabwe. The role of government, number one, is to make sure that the resources that belong to the people are administered according to what benefits the people. That's, again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just saying, I'm looking at it from that perspective to say, SMM, the documents that formulate the structure of the company belong to Matuma Mawere. I agree with that. But the mines itself that it has control over, those belong to the Zimbabwean people. I think that's a part that that's going under.
I'm saying is that I'm not sure where you are getting that is in dispute. You are licensed. You are licensed first to be a business.
Okay, so then let's start from there, because that's where then we can get to the bottom of why people like me believe what we believe.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe you can help us. Second, for you to extract minerals, there is a law that provides for that.
Yes.
For you to prospect, there are laws that provide for prospecting.
But when we're saying that we're going outside the structure of the law, Mr. Mawere, and I'm going to be even though I disagree with you, I'm going to be very respectful of your position. Like I said, I respect your intellectual capacity. But where we're talking about here is, if these mines belong to the people of Zimbabwe, they belong to our generation. People like me can now say, while this is being figured out, whether these mines should belong to Matuma Mawere or that British company, I would rather have those minerals in the ground for our grandchildren while it's being figured out. Because there are certain things.
No, can we go? How familiar are you with the history, the circumstances, and the facts of SMM?
If you give me a chance to tell you what I know, I'll tell you what I.
Yeah, maybe you tell us. Then I also can learn from you.
No, I don't expect you to learn from me, Mr. Mawere. Like I said earlier on, your intellectual capacity.
No, it's not facts. Do you agree that facts don't require intellectual capacity? It's what they are. If you know something that has happened, I don't have to be intellectualized facts.
But facts need to be processed. Just like when government gives us facts about what happened with your company, we need to process them.
That's what I'm saying is that I'm saying you have a perspective that you know, and you can give me, so that because whatever I tell you, you may not agree with it because it's my turf.
Right. The reason why I'm spending time out of my day is so that people like you that have direct information can change my mind if I'm wrong. Then you can say, Simbam Juru, you're wrong with.
But that's what I'm trying. I'm trying to do. But I asked you, have you followed from where we started so that I don't have to repeat?
You mean the broadcasting today? Or
yeah,
today.
Today.
I started from early on, but what you say today still doesn't change my position of what.
Okay, I'm saying is that what I say today maybe so that for the I think a shelter. Chiburugwi, you said I'm with you. I guess you are listening. So maybe let's also allow Mr. Mjuru, who was not part of the conversation with Advocate Matisa.
Why don't you let me tell you my perspective? Then you tell me where I'm wrong.
Okay, tell us, yeah. Okay, it's you're on the floor.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people out there like me, and the opportunity for you to address our situation, I think that's great. That's why I applaud you. Now, people like me that are young that have followed you, like I said, you are a brilliant mind. From the 80s to the 90s, you rose up, you went for education in Switzerland, you went to the UK, you came to America. Then after that, you had an opportunity to acquire one of the strongest mineral companies in Zimbabwe. Now, my view now says, okay, this is the person that is obviously benefited from the independence of the country. But now independent, we can acquire assets, we can acquire companies, we can acquire banks, we can acquire mines, we can do all these things. Then I go back and say, okay, after this man acquired the company in 1996, and your company clearly exported about 95% of everything you took from the ground. Now, again, this company has done business. The export into market was just by terms of them taking the resources. This is what the mining companies do. They take resources from the ground and export it. The physical or the makeup of the company itself, has the company been able to look back at the communities in which it has done business? Has it been able to put structures in terms of building schools so that the benefit from the mines come back to the people that are Zimbabweans?
No, you are raising.
And until
I think you are raising a separate issue. I'm saying is, if you are saying that the company violated a law in terms of corporate social investment, or
no, that's not what I'm saying.
The community.
That's not what I'm saying.
No, I don't understand. How does that become relevant? Because we are talking about.
All of us have a perspective of.
So let's go. Let's get your facts. Let's get. You are making. If you are making an accusation that mining companies in general are mischievous, they pick value from the ground, and they don't share the proceeds of it or the harvest of it. Then
there's no need for us to speculate, because you ran a major company in Zimbabwe, so there's no need for us to speculate.
No. I'm saying is, tell me, because we were trying to follow through what was reported in the Herald, so that the other people who may read the same text may not see, they just read it as it is without looking beyond what is there, to look at the foundation of a successful country, and maybe try to understand why is Simba in the US and not in Harare. This has nothing to do with Simba being in the US. No, I'm saying is people who left the country, they are not stupid, they are not delusional.
This has nothing to do with those people. We're talking about the legal action about what happened to SSM in the context of Zimbabwean law and the Zimbabwean society.
So that's what I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to get to. And I said we had covered that aspect.
You are forgetting that there are people like me that initially sympathized with your position. I really did, until I went a little bit into it, and I said, okay, what caused this? Is what I'm saying. It's important for business students to be able to dissect this and study and say what really happened. Government played a part. Yes, it did. Can you argue about executive order? Here and there. If the president signs something and it's an executive order, then you can go to constitutional courts to argue about the constitutional merits of that state. Yes, you can do that. But when it comes to other things that create business climate, did the company really do its part? Was the company taking care of people that were dying in the mines? Was the company helping schools in the community? Was the company, for example, why was one of the subsidies?
Let's.
I know from experience.
No, let's bring Advocate Matiza, maybe to add his voice. I think he has been ignored in the discussion. Advocate, go ahead.
Thank you. I was following Mr.
I think that where we were going was that after reading the story that was in the Herald of 2004, what would be the understanding of a normal person in the streets? Was this a government that was fulfilling its promises or fulfilling its obligation and its role that has been elected to do, which is the promotion of administration of justice, or promotion of justice. So I think that's where we were before we then went in.
Yeah. So I think we may just go to maybe for Mr. Mjuru to just update you on the ground that we had covered.
No, but the advocate is asking about the role of government.
Yeah.
I'm saying that the government's got the responsibility of protecting the people. In this case, it's the government that this corporation was externalizing. This company had another company based in the Virgin Islands, and there was a South African person out there claiming that this company is externalizing. And there were some cases in the South African court where the South African court was saying that the company owes the Zimbabwean government about 18 million rands.
So can we? I think Mr. Mjuru, you are coming right. First, we let's say deal with the foundation, deal with all those issues so that we don't jump from this to that. So the first thing is that, do you agree that this company was operating from 1917?
Yeah, and that's part of the reason why the war was fought, so we can be free for companies like that were exploiting the country for 200 years. Yes.
And also, do you agree that the company was when I acquired it, it had been operating 16 years into independence?
Yes, and I'm happy that you as Zimbabwean.
I'm saying is either if you have knowledge of it, and then we can go to the next point.
I agree with it. I'm also telling you that I agree that you as a Zimbabwean person were able to buy such a company.
Do you know how
for such a long time?
Do you know how the company was owned?
I've heard two versions.
Okay, maybe give us the first one.
The first version I heard is that you acquired it through a guaranteed loan of $60 million through government, whether directly or indirectly. That's the first version I've heard. The second version I've heard is from some of your blogs where you said you did a transaction where some of the revenues from the company, export revenues, were going to be used to pay down the debt that you owed in the form of $23 million or something like that. I really don't know which one is true. Only you can know because you were in the trenches.
No, I'm saying is, do you agree that prior to my relevance, there was a company that was operating in terms of the laws of Zimbabwe?
I've already agreed.
Okay, and you are saying you don't know how the company was owned.
I don't know how you acquired.
No, I'm not asking about acquisition. I'm saying before I even came into the picture, I'm asking, do you know how the company was owned? If you don't know, it's fine.
My knowledge of that situation is that it was owned by a company called TNT, which is a UK-based company.
No, it was owned by a company called SMM Holdings Limited, a company incorporated in terms of the laws of the United Kingdom. Then that company in turn was owned by T&N. So we can share with you the agreements so that you can then see the ownership, if that is of interest to you.
Let's just clarify that before you came into the picture, this company was not owned by Zimbabweans.
Which one? Hello?
Why are you saying the company that did the mining operations?
I'm saying that it was never, at all material times, it was never owned by a Zimbabwean natural person.
Exactly, and that's exactly what the promise of independence was.
No. I'm saying even after acquisition, the company's shareholding did not change. Are you aware of that?
I'm not aware of that because something that's also associated with your story here is that you've got a lot of corporations that are intertwined.
No. I'm saying is I'm giving you the facts, and either you allow me to do that, and then you say, okay, where you have doubt, you say, look, can you provide me with information to confirm what you're saying? Then we move on to the next point.
Well, you can find details like that, but what I do know as a Zimbabwean citizen is that this company, these mines were owned by foreign.
No, all I'm saying is what is fact. I'm giving you the facts related to what I know. But if you know better, then there's no point in talking.
It's not a matter of saying I know better.
No, I'm saying is that I'm giving you the facts that before and after the company remained owned by the same company.
Mr. Mawere, the difference between social media and being an executive of a company is that when you come on social media, you're going to find people like me who disagree with some of your positions.
I've no problem. I've no problem with. I've no problem. I've no problem.
Give me a second. And an executive can just tell somebody what to do and they're going to do it. On social media, we're going to have to debate issues. And I promise to be respectful of you. We're going to have to debate certain your standpoints.
But can we debate facts? I mean, either you debate that your father is so and so, then I have to debate whether it's Mujuru or not.
So if we're going to talk about, like I said, if we go back to what we're talking about,
yeah.
If we agree that the company was owned by foreigners before you came into the picture for 200 years, then let's move on.
No, I'm saying that even after acquisition, it remained owned by foreigners.
How can it then be owned by foreigners? Now, mind, if you acquired it.
No, that's what I'm saying is understand the acquisition. That's why I was going to go there so that I explain to you what the transaction was.
Okay.
So that we don't have this confusion where you are assuming that the facts are what you know.
I'm not assuming. I'm just going by what's on the public domain.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is there's no
coming out to say that you actually didn't acquire the company. So if you didn't acquire the company, then tell us who acquired the company.
Okay, let me try to get a link so that we can get that information so that you can then tell us yourself what the information says. Advocate, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
All right.
Can I ask the advocate a question?
Okay.
While you're looking for the link, advocate, what firm do you work for?
On this type of you practice on your own accord. The attorneys are the ones that work for firms, but in advocacy, practice on your own accord. So you won't work for a firm. You work for your practice is known as third party.
Are you based in Zimbabwe or South Africa? Where are you based?
I'm based in Port Elizabeth, South Africa.
Have you ever done any work for SSM or any of the affiliate companies or not?
None.
No? Okay, so you're pretty independent.
Yes.
Okay, because listen, I'm based in the United States. I'm just going by what I read. I don't have any interest. Like I said earlier on, I actually respect Mr. Mawere. My interest, if any, is to say when this company now gets delved into politics, I want to know from what basis that the person who's coming, what's the interest? Because people don't spend hours on social media having conversations unless there's something that there's a message they want you to put out there. I've never been on a social media live. This is my first time ever. And the reason I came in here is I had an opportunity to discuss an issue with what I call a legend, Mr. Mawere, people like Mawere, and I don't mean that disrespectful, Mr. Mawere, Nigel Chanakira. Some of those people are really, really legends in terms of business as a Zimbabwean. So we have an opportunity here to look at this, and I hope the University of Zimbabwe puts this case in the main library so future students can study it that want to go into business and come up with their own conclusions of what happened.
Yes.
And again, I applaud Mr. Mawere, and I keep on saying to him, this is when we processed it, this is the position we've reached. And I keep saying, this is what I've seen. Since you are still alive, you can then say, okay, this was said like this, but that's not exactly what it was. I can say this company was registered in the Virgin Islands. When I hear that a company was registered in the Virgin Islands, my process automatically goes to externalization.
Okay, I've posted on the Zimbabwe today. I don't know that you're on the site.
I'm online, but if you tell me where it is, I can
It's
look for it.
on Zimbabwe Today Facebook page.
Zimbabwe Today?
Yeah, Facebook page. Under
Is it a long...
Under comments, the Google link.
Sure.
Yes.
I think
I'm listening.
yeah, he's just going on the. Have you seen it?
I'm going to ZimbabweToday.com. Is that where you want me to go?
Yeah, the Zimbabwe Today Facebook page.
Oh, okay. Let me log in the page. Okay. But I can listen to the question.
And you are also on the 1873. Are you on the 1873 page as well?
Me? No.
Where you typed you couldn't. Oh, Mutuma Mawere page.
Yeah.
Where you had sent a comment that you're on live. You are live.
Sorry, you broke up a little bit.
I'm saying you were on my page. Is it? Before. Where you had written. I've posted it there.
On your page?
Yeah.
And what I'm looking for, the importance of dialogue amongst Zimbabweans is because now we're intellectually mature. We have to dialogue, and we've got to dialogue in a respectful manner. That's why I keep on saying, I will not disrespect you, but I really want to dig into issues, not only just business, but also political. When we demean each other and do all the other things that we do, usually that kills debates, and it never elevates the debates.
So have you found it?
I am looking for it now. I'm on your page right now.
Yeah, okay. There is a posting that I just posted now. Hello, yeah. Did you find it?
Just maybe to follow on what Mr. Mviri is looking for the page.
Yeah.
Is this the Google one?
The Google one, yeah.
Okay.
You got it?
I got it.
Yeah, just open it.
Okay.
Mr. Mviri has said something very interesting.
Okay.
He had said that the moment he read something that said that SMM, the whole company was registered in BVI, the British Virgin Islands, it then rang bells of externalization.
Oh, yeah, I think we'll go through that first. I think he raised the question. I think now he's looking at the document.
The one from the Herald?
No, not the Herald one, the last posting. Yeah, no.
You could tell me what it is. I'll find it.
No, just open it so that other people can open. You are not the only one. So that we have a text to start with.
Okay, I just opened it.
Okay, it says this agreement is made on 7th March, 1996. Is that correct?
Yes, I got it.
Okay. And it says there are three parties there.
Yeah. It has three parties, and African Resources Limited companies are not the company that's incorporated.
Yeah. So you do you see any government there in the parties?
No, there's definitely no government there, because why would government enter into agreements with individuals?
No. I'm saying is if you are a guarantor, you be cited.
Okay.
Because you can't purchase property without the financing mechanism.
Yeah, but guarantor can mean, guarantor can, let's not limit,
No, I'm saying is it will be referred to in the agreement, because it's an agreement between parties. There has to be a seller and a purchaser, and I have to know what property I'm buying.
Yeah, but let's not limit the role of government.
No, I'm saying is let's look at what you are seeing. If you are seeing something, you say I'm seeing something. This is a complete agreement signed by the parties to the agreement.
I agree. I see. Okay, I see the three parties, sir.
Yeah. Advocate wanted to ask a question here.
I'm not opening the document, but just for the benefit of myself and I think other listeners, who are the three parties in the document?
Okay, maybe Simba, you can say, because people accuse me of witchcraft.
Of manipulating the document, right?
Yeah.
There's a number one is a company called TNT International Limited. Registered.
No, TNN International.
Sorry, TNN. It looks like it's registered in Manchester.
That's right.
Then there's TNN PLC. That's registered in Manchester as well. I'm assuming Manchester, United Kingdom.
That's
right.
There's
African Resources Limited, which is registered in the British Islands.
That's right.
So you have these foreign parties giving themselves mineral rights or the right to mine stuff that belongs to Zimbabwe. And then you say government should not...
I think there's a question from Advocate.
Okay, so who is the purchaser here?
Okay, let's go through the agreement so that we know what we are talking about. It says, whereas, maybe you can proceed, Mr. Mjuru.
No, go ahead.
SMM Holdings, Limited, SMMH, is a private company limited by shares, registered in England, short particulars of which are set out in Part A of Schedule 1, having an authorized capital of £1,000 divided into 1,000 deferred shares of £1 each, 100 of which have been issued, fully paid, or creditors as fully paid the SMM deferred shares, and SMM ordinary shares of $1 US each, of which have been issued, fully paid or credited as fully paid, and are currently evidenced by warrants issued to bearer, the SMMH ordinary shares. Then B, TH Holdings Limited is a private company limited by shares registered in England, short particulars of which are set out in Part 2 of Schedule 1, having an authorized capital of £1,000 divided into 1,000 deferred shares of £1 each. The third, which is C, TAP Building Products Limited, is a private company limited by shares registered in Zambia, short particulars of which are set out in Part 3 of Schedule 1. ED, African Associated Mines Private Limited, AAM, is a private company limited by shares registered in Zimbabwe, short particulars of which are set out in Part 4 of Schedule 1. TNN is beneficially entitled to all the SMMH deferred shares, all the SMMH ordinary shares, all the THZ deferred shares, all the THZ ordinary shares, and all the TAP shares. Then TNN International is beneficially entitled to all the AM shares. Do you understand, Advocate?
So TNN,
UK.
UK, and then TAP.
Shares.
Registered in Zambia.
That's right.
Yeah, so these ones, they are, for lack of a better word, owned by TNN UK.
That's right. TNN PLC.
Okay, TNN PLC.
But this proves exactly what we are trying to say, that the legal documents are yours. We never argued that. But the minerals in the ground belong to Zimbabwe.
No. I'm saying is the right to mine is conferred to the company, not to Mawere.
But then the bigger scale becomes, if the minerals in the ground are in Zimbabwe, then Zimbabwe is always going to have the jurisdiction over them.
No. I'm saying is that we are just going through the. I thought you said Mr. Mujuru, you said there are two versions of how the company was acquired. So let's resolve that. Then we go to another issue.
But this is why I was saying intellectually, this is where you are brilliant. This stuff here.
There's no brilliance. This agreement is 21 years old.
I understand that.
Yeah, so I'm saying there's nothing to do with brilliance. It is to do with what is on paper.
I agree with that, sir. That's on paper. Everything is clearly on paper. But
Yeah.
the minerals in the ground are still.
No, I'm saying that is a separate argument you can then raise, not in relation to SMM, in relation to all mineral assets. That is a debate that is broader than what we are dealing with.
Okay.
Yeah. So nobody stops you from nationalizing. Okay. G advocate. Yeah, we are continuing. SMMH is the beneficial owner of the entire issued share capital of Shabani Mashaba Mines Private Limited. Short particulars of which are set out in part 1. Yeah.
Shabani Mashaba Mines SMMH Holding is the beneficial owner of Shabani Mashaba Mines.
That's right. The Zimbabwean company.
Private Limited.
That's right.
Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
Okay, so if one is just to come up with the metrics,
Yeah.
with TNN PLC in UK,
Yeah.
which is the beneficial owner of SMMH.
That's right.
UK, which is the beneficial owner of Shabani Mashaba Mines Private Limited, registered in Zimbabwe.
That's right.
Okay.
Then
TNN,
then TNN International, it has only one son or daughter, AA Mines.
okay, this is TNN
International, TNI.
TNI.
Yeah.
TPL.
No, TNI. TAP is under TNN PLC.
Okay, so TNI.
Yeah.
Okay, so TNI UK is AAM, which is registered in Zimbabwe.
That's right.
Advocate, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
The three main companies here, none of them are Zimbabwe based. We saw one is in Manchester, UK, the other one is in Manchester, UK, the other one is in British Virgin Islands. Does this document here have jurisdiction? Does it fall under Zimbabwean jurisdiction? I'm not a lawyer, because right now I don't know where this document was signed. I don't know what jurisdiction does it fall under.
Okay. I think you are asking a valid question. Jurisdiction. Yeah. Well, normally when you look at jurisdiction, what are the important key ingredients of determining jurisdiction?
There's also something called the cause of action.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think it's one of the most important things that you also look where the cause of action, where does it
No, jurisdiction should be independent, isn't it?
Well, I know that contracts that I've signed in my businesses are always stipulate what jurisdiction it is.
Yeah, I'm saying is the property that is to be acquired is situated in the UK. So the jury.
That I get my phone broke up a little bit.
Now I'm saying the property in question, which is the shares, are situated in the UK and governed in terms of the laws of England.
But the mines are in Zimbabwe, though.
No,
I mean,
that's
we can talk about shares as much as we want.
no. I'm saying is that it will then
Zimbabwe.
in the agreement as we go down, it will then say what is the transaction that will then determine the jurisdiction of that transaction. Because this agreement has a purpose. What is its purpose? If I'm buying property in Zimbabwe, then the agreement will be governed in terms of the laws of Zimbabwe.
Exactly.
But if I'm not buying any property in Zimbabwe, Zimbabwe is no jurisdiction.
Well, but here we're talking about a major company that...
No, I'm saying it depends on...
foreign currency.
I can marry your grandparent, and then you are the grandchild in South Africa.
Sir, again, we're going back to intellectually. You minimize what we're saying. We're saying you're buying a company that controls 10% of the forex, and you want to minimize it to marry my grandchild.
I'm saying
talk about marrying my grandchild.
You're talking about jurisdiction. I'm saying you're talking about jurisdiction is a legal construct.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I'm saying don't...
Sir, we're talking about a company that employs 4,000 people plus.
Okay.
10% of foreign revenue.
So what are you saying? Should that determine jurisdiction or what?
I'm saying that the magnitude of the company, jurisdiction should have been very clear instead of just talking about shares.
No, I'm saying is if I'll just say Google now.
You can't expect Zimbabwean government to not have a say when a company that's 10% of forex is being sold. That's ludicrous. I'm sorry for using that term, but we're talking about a big company here. We're not talking about a shelf company. We're talking about a huge company that employs thousands of
people.
So
do you want to learn about jurisdiction or you want to lecture us?
I brought up the word jurisdiction.
No, I'm saying is that because I'm failing to understand what is your point.
Because like I said, when we have the debate, it's very important for us not to again. Let's have the debate.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's not
no, but because I don't understand. I don't. This is an agreement between parties. We have not even gone into the what is being sold and what is being purchased.
I am saying, and here's what I'm saying, so you can understand where I'm coming from. Those mines are based in Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
You are a Zimbabwean. The parties here, this company is based in the Virgin
Islands. Let's go to the agreement. Let's go to the agreement, and then you can then see whether I purchased anything myself.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, because okay. Let me just go. Jurisdiction, power of a court to adjudicate cases and issue orders. Number 2, territory within which a court or government agency may properly exercise its power. An overview. One of the most fundamental questions of law is whether a given court has jurisdiction to preside over a given case.
Yes.
A jurisdictional question may be broken down into 3 components. 1, whether there is a personal jurisdiction, also known as whether the court may even hear the case involving the particular defendant. This is further broken down into 3 categories. In personam jurisdiction, in rem jurisdiction, quasi in rem jurisdiction. Number 2, whether there is a jurisdiction over the subject matter. Number 3, whether there is a jurisdiction to render the particular judgment sought. The term jurisdiction can be understood by being compared to power. Any court possesses jurisdiction over matters only to the extent granted to it by the Constitution and or legislation of the sovereignty on behalf of which it functions. A state court in Mississippi may need statutory permission by the Mississippi legislature to hear certain types of cases. The question of whether a given court has the power to determine a jurisdictional question is itself a jurisdictional question. Such a legal question is referred to as jurisdiction to determine jurisdiction. Subject matter jurisdiction is the court's authority to decide the issue in controversy, such as a contracts issue or a civil rights issue. State courts have general jurisdiction, meaning that they can hear any controversy except those prohibited by state law. Some states, for example, deny subject matter jurisdiction for a case that does not involve state citizens or did not take place in the state. And those allocated to federal courts of exclusive jurisdiction, such as bankruptcy issues. Territorial jurisdiction is the court's power to bind the parties to the action. The law determines the scope of federal and state power, state court power. State court territorial jurisdiction is determined by due process clause of the Constitution's 14th Amendment and the federal court. This is in terms of the U.S. So, before we need to go through the agreement so that we can arrive at what property, what is this all about, before we can then determine what.
But Mr. Mawere, I've never seen this agreement until right now. So I'm looking at it. Earlier on in this broadcast, you said limited resources company didn't have any role. You were talking about it earlier on. You were just saying it's
Africa what?
No role. Now we are seeing that this company is the third one listed on the basis of this agreement. So this was not just a little company.
No. I'm saying is let's go through the agreement to know what is the subject matter of the agreement.
But okay. While we do that, let's go back and say that statement we said earlier on, talking about limited resources limited, that it was just a nothing company.
Who said that?
Remember when we were talking earlier on, before I came,
I said I didn't, me personally. I didn't buy anything.
Okay, let's leave that. Let's proceed.
So yeah. And SMM is the beneficial owner of the entire issued share capitals of all the companies as detailed in Part 2 of Schedule 2, which would be the Zimbabwean subsidiary companies. Then THZ Holdings is the beneficial owner of the entire issued share capital of TH Zimbabwe Private Limited, short particulars of which are set out in Part 3 of Schedule 2, and THZ is the beneficial owner of the entire issued share capital of all the companies as detailed in Part 4 of Schedule 2. And of those companies, Tube and Pipe Industries, 1983 Private Limited, is the beneficial owner of the entire issued share capital of Strip and Plate Manufacturers Private Limited. Each of SMM, H and SMM is the beneficial owner of 1/2 of the entire issued share capital of Tental Private Limited, short particulars of which are set out in Part 2 of Schedule 2. Neither AMI nor TAP have any interest in the share capital of any companies. The sellers wish...
Sir, I think in all honesty, to be fair, because we have seen this document for the first time today, we can schedule another conversation after I've had a day or two to read it, because this document is 50 pages.
Okay. I mean, it will also talk about jurisdiction in the agreement itself.
But if you want to reference quickly to the part that talks about jurisdiction, let's do that. But
okay, now I'm saying is that
an advocate can agree to that. Anytime you see a document like this, you're not going to read it on social media for over 2 seconds and understand.
No, I'm saying is you now have the link, so you have the full document anyway. All we are saying is that.
So kudos to you for making documents like this public, so that when those students look at this transaction, they can actually.
No, what you may find that it's actually not students. The grown-ups and those who are non-students are the biggest problem.
Or anybody who's got a different opinion than you that wants facts.
That's why. So let's not limit it to
the issue of this document. Advocate, maybe you can come in. This document was signed, let's say, signed in London. And it's governed by I don't know who.
No, paragraph 22 it says governing law.
Paragraph what?
22, yeah. It says this agreement is governed by and shall be construed in accordance with English law, save that any warrant capable of applying to any company other than SMMH, THZH, TAP, and Southern Asbestos Sales Proprietary Limited shall, when so applying, be construed in accordance with the laws of Zimbabwe. Southern Asbestos Sales Proprietary, which is a company who was accusing me of setting up, it is a company that existed before, shall, when so applying, be construed in accordance with the laws of the Republic of South Africa. TAP shall, when so applying, be construed in accordance with the laws of Zambia. The parties subject themselves to the non-exclusive jurisdiction of the English courts. As witness, yeah, that's it.
So a British company and a Virgin Islands company, another British company, write an agreement which is subject to British law.
That's right.
And then you're surprised why Zimbabwe says we don't recognize British law.
No, this agreement was known to the government in 96. And you can't say that in 2004 something had changed.
No, I'm saying that if you got a document that was...
If the government had any problem with it, they would have impeached the transaction as it happened.
No, they don't need to.
No, I'm saying is, if you are saying... No, but in government...
Of government, yeah, I'm just talking on behalf of business in general. Government does not need to do anything until a problem arises.
No, I'm saying is, let's deal with the acquisition. Now you have understood who are the parties to the acquisition.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I'll consider that.
Yeah, so if you are, then at least you are what? We are getting somewhere.
No, this is a good debate, sir. Like I told you earlier on, I commend you for it, to come to people like me and change minds. And kudos to you. If this was 1994, I would have never had access like this to you. I can guarantee you that.
Okay, all right. I think we'll talk about another time. But paragraph 2 says sell and purchase of the shares. So it meant, advocate, that what was being sold and purchased with shares, not assets. Is that correct? So people sometimes confuse between shares and assets.
Advocate, come in. This is legal mumbo jumbo. The reason we purchase shares of a company, right, is so that we can control everything associated with that company. That's why we want to purchase the shares.
Maybe you can give a legal answer, advocate.
Just repeat the question again.
No, he is saying that the reason we buy a company is because of the underlying assets. We don't purchase a company just for the sake of purchasing shares.
Because if you want to purchase a company for the sake of purchasing a company, I'm going to incorporate a company right here in the United States, and I want you to write me a $2 million check.
No, I'm saying is you have asked the question, and let's have advocate apply his mind.
When you purchase, just to reframe the question, we're saying if someone purchases shares, the intention or the object or the purpose of that purchase control the company. Is that the question?
That's what he is implying.
Okay.
I'm also implying that the value I'm going to pay for those shares is going to be directly connected to what's under the shares, what the company owns. So if a company owns nothing, I'm not going to pay a pound for them. If a company owns mines in Zimbabwe, I'm going to pay $60 million for it. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Do you understand the question?
So, if we're saying that when you purchase shares,
His understanding is that assets and shares are one and the same thing.
I didn't say they're one of the same. I said they're related.
Now,
Because assets determine the price of the shares.
no, it doesn't. It doesn't. I can have a big advocate. Have you ever seen a hotel with no one sleeping there?
Which is going to affect.
No, I'm saying is and if you are going to buy, have you ever had companies being bought for $1?
Right, because they're
But the assets are worth. Their assets are worth.
companies.
Their assets are worth millions, but they are not generating income.
Then there are companies like Coca-Cola, where the brand alone is worth.
No, I'm saying is I'm giving it to you that assets and shares need not be related. Because there are people who don't know how to use assets.
I'm saying they're cousins. Shares.
No, I'm saying
the value of the company.
there are people who may not even have assets. Intellectually, they can come up with a solution to a problem with no assets and become multi-billionaires.
Let's get advocate to answer that question.
Okay.
I'm saying in your case, especially because we don't have to theorize this. In your case, the value of your shares should have been connected to what was happening.
No, I'm saying that is the value of the shares was related to the expected income, not share, not assets.
Yeah, but we know what we're talking about because these are mines that have been operating.
No, I'm saying is I don't. If there's no market for if there's no one paying for the product, I won't pay for the shares.
Well,
what for?
Nobody was paying for the what you're mining is.
I'm paying for the income.
$60 million for the company.
No, but, okay, maybe advocate, you can try this one because we are going to 101.
I think it's two sides of the same coin. Because from my understanding, Mr. Mjuri is saying that the asset, and if I'm getting him correctly, is referring to the income generating ability of the asset, not the asset itself.
No, I don't.
Exactly.
Which one? I'm saying is the assets.
From your side, you're saying no, an asset does not mean income. These are two different things.
Yeah.
Expected income is not related to an asset. So I think
I can even borrow assets. I can even hire assets.
But the bottom line we're coming down to is the reason why you wanted to pay $60 million for that company is because you saw something. That is the bottom line.
No, I'm saying I didn't see assets because I don't. But I'm just saying is that different valuation methods. There are transactions that are done on asset basis.
Let's go back to the argument. Let's agree to agree there. We're saying the same, like advocate said, it's the same coin. Let's move on so we can cover more ground.
Yeah, but I'm saying is that the agreement was for shares, and it was sell and purchase of the shares.
But there's a reason why you want the shares, Mr. Mawere. There's a reason why you want them.
No. I'm saying is let's deal with what the reason, the motive, or whatever. Let's deal with what is there.
We need to be careful, and I'll tell you what we need to be careful of, sir. In a perfect world, private sector should not seek to dominate government. Neither should government seek to dominate private sector. We have to coexist.
But that's another argument, and you have another where you can raise that argument. I'm just saying is we just looking at this agreement and what was being purchased.
Yeah, but then if we're gonna play, if we're gonna use legal mumbo jumbo in terms to gain assets and use, you see where I'm saying we should not seek to dominate government. That's not what the goal of the company should be.
But where is the domination coming from?
Again, like say, when we deal with intellectuals like yourself, sir, you people are smart.
No, I'm saying the agreement is not smart. The agreement is what it is.
Sir, we're talking about shares of a company that is drafted in England by English company.
But you are
over assets that are in Zimbabwe.
But
person right now,
you are raising a valid issue. That's why we're trying to explain it so that other people can also learn.
That is why
this issue is
but
so the moment you close out the learning, then it becomes a futile exercise. You have said, I've said that there are instances where the value of a company is determined on intellectual property. It will be soft and not hard, tangible assets. So I could rent an office, and on my balance sheet, I don't have anything.
A lot of pharmaceutical companies have done exactly what you're talking about.
That's right. So when I'm valuing the company, then someone says what? I need to look at your assets. Then
I put in pharmaceutical companies because I wanted to show you that I understand what you're saying. I'm saying we don't need to use hypotheticals in this case because the mines are there in Zimbabwe. They've been operating for 200 years. We don't need hypotheticals.
No, I'm saying is the valuation of the company was not asset-based. Can you understand that?
I can understand that, but we're talking about you acquiring a mine in Zimbabwe.
No, I didn't acquire a mine. Please hear the facts. There is nothing there. That's why I said, let's go into what was sold and what was purchased. What? Okay. Yeah, then at least you can then try to imagine something. But subject to satisfaction of the condition precedent in clause 4, TNN shall sell and the purchaser shall purchase the SMMH shares, the THZH shares, and the TAP shares, together with all rights attaining to them, including all dividends and distributions declared, made or paid on the shares, on or after the account's date other than the permitted dividend. TNI shall sell, and the purchaser shall purchase the AM shares together with all rights attaching to them. So you there's nothing there saying SMM Zimbabwe was purchased. It was not part of the transaction.
Okay, so if it was not part of this transaction, how did you gain control of the mines in Zimbabwe?
That's what you're saying. I want to understand what the transaction was. Then you say, okay, now I have understood. I don't know the advocate, you've understood the transaction.
I think I fully understand. Just to recap it, we have ARL, which is the company that is BVI, buying shares for TNN PLC UK and TNI UK. These companies are the shareholders or beneficial owners of SMMH UK and THZ UK and TAP Zambia. SMMH UK is now the beneficial owner of Shabani Mashaba Mines Private Limited in Zimbabwe, and THZ Zimbabwe and others like your Chuban Pipe Industries, the Steel Plates and SAZ in South Africa. But the transaction is basically about ARL purchasing the shares of SMMH and THZ and TAP and AAM, which are held by TNN and TNI. So it's ARL buying from TNN, TNI, the shares of what? Of SMMH, THZ, TAP and AAM.
So, do you see?
Advocate,
Okay.
who owns African Resources Limited? What are the shareholdings of that company?
It's registered in BVI.
It doesn't matter. I'm not asking where it's registered. I'm saying who owns it. Where's the corporate structures for that company? Who owns it?
Mutuma Mawere.
So if Mutuma Mawere owns African Resources Limited, how can Mutuma Mawere say, I don't own SSM? You see what I'm saying?
No, SMM, maybe you can explain.
If we're hiding
advocate.
behind companies, right? We can't hide behind companies
Was-
and say, I don't own this, and we're not disclosing the share.
Advocate,
we own.
advocate, I think, advocate, do you agree that I was not party to the transaction?
ARL was party to the transaction.
Not Mawere.
But if my advocate, one direct question, then I'll let it go. If Mutuma Mawere owns a company called African Resources Limited, based in the British Virgin Islands, he owns it. Let's say he owns it 100% outright. How can then Mutuma Mawere say I was not part of the transaction?
ARL is a separate legal entity.
Owned by who?
I think it's a concept of a corporate entity that we just maybe to.
Advocate, are you running out of words now? Who owns African Resources Limited?
I'm with you.
Okay.
The main thing that I own a company, that does not mean that myself, the company I want to be. The main thing that I am a shareholder in the company.
There's a reason, sir, there's reasons why we register companies. Either for asset protection, either to hide identity, so that the company can do things that I don't want to do as an individual.
No.
Some people register companies so that there's a lot of reasons.
Yes, but what I'm trying to say is that maybe you can take it back a little bit. Companies are separate legal entities. But for them to be registered, they have to be a natural person that's been registered there. But when that
Sir, in legal terms, what you're saying in legal terms is 100% correct. But what motivates me to register a company sometimes you can't deny that sometimes it has to do with liability. Sometimes it has to do with asset protection.
Advocate, maybe just to help him, when you say a company is limited by shares, what do you mean? In terms of liability?
Are you talking to me or are you talking to the advocate?
Advocates.
It means that the shareholders are not liable.
So, do you understand that?
Advocate, let me ask you another direct question. And Mr. Mawere, you can come in later. This is a hypothetical now. I'm asking you a hypothetical. Do you think in the realm of possibilities in the legal world, is there a possibility that a Mutuma Mawere might register a company called African Resources Limited, structure it all the way far away the Virgin Islands, and make it enter into an agreement in order for him to conceal his identity or in order for him to protect his assets? Is there that possibility? I'm not saying that's what he did. Is that a viable possibility?
There's nothing illegal with that.
Exactly. I rest my point.
No, I don't think Simba understands what you are saying. Simba is saying that there is a motive.
I said, Mr. Mawara, I said it's a hypothetical.
I'm saying, but you are saying it's founded on this hypothetical.
No, sir, I'll come back to explain exactly what I said. I said in a hypothetical world, Simba Mujuru can go to the British Virgin Islands. In fact, I don't even need to go. I can hire an attorney in the Virgin Islands who is going to incorporate a company for me. I can then use that company to do business wherever I wanted to do business, and I can conceal my identity.
You don't have to. No, I'm saying is in this case, they knew the identity. There was nothing concealed.
No. Sir, I'm still talking about my hypothetical.
Yeah, because it's irrelevant. It's a
conducive place for me to hide a lot of.
No, it's irrelevant because the BVI company is not has no residence in Zimbabwe, has no operations in Zimbabwe. The only company that is governed in terms of Zimbabwean law should be SMM Zimbabwe. That's why we're talking about jurisdiction. I thought we understood each other. That the moment...
No, we're understanding each other.
Yeah, so the jurisdiction of SMM Private Limited Zimbabwe is vested with the government of Zimbabwe.
I mean, African Resources Limited came into play when this document came out to see that out of the three main contractor people of the companies on that agreement, they're listed as the third company. So this is not...
That was the buyer. There is a purchaser and a seller. That's
right.
There are two.
It's a buyer, right? But it's no longer a Mickey Mouse company because they're a big player.
No, I'm saying is I don't see what you're saying is you didn't understand what the acquisition was. Am I with you that you now have a better understanding of it?
I'm grateful that you brought this document out.
Yeah.
I'm saying what I now understand is that a Zimbabwean citizen who acquired a mine in Zimbabwe went to the Virgin Islands to register a corporation.
No, it was registered. It was registered prior to the transaction.
Okay, you registered as Zimbabwean national, went to the Virgin Islands to
No, I was not even in Zimbabwe. I was living in the United States.
I never said anything about where you were.
No, I'm saying I was not subject. I was in the United States. I registered this company in the United States.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll rephrase.
Yeah. So I don't see where the Zimbabwean locus comes in.
Because it has to connect with the mines in Zimbabwe.
No, it has nothing. I'm saying I'm giving you the facts. The facts of the matter are that there was no sale and purchase of any Zimbabwean asset or rights.
I agree with you. Earlier when I said, if you look at what the situation here, there's layers of companies, right, in between here. Some that are registered in foreign countries, but at the bottom of all these layers are the mines in Zimbabwe and 4,000.
No, I'm saying is that is not what the transaction was about. The transaction was about shares in the United Kingdom issued by the two companies in the UK.
Where was the product? So where was the product?
It was not a sale of product or anything.
You can phrase it.
So I'm saying is the Zimbabwean company remained owned by SMM Holdings Limited.
We're coming back to the legal actions that happened in Zimbabwe. Now we're going up with all the.
No, I'm saying is
Where
that
are the
first,
things right now?
can we agree that you now understand that the transaction was done in the United Kingdom, governed in terms of the laws of the UK? Are we together there?
Okay, let's agree on that. Let's
Yeah, I think
benefit time. Let's go.
that's right. Then we can then deal with the other matters that arise. So
And by the way, the people that are listening should understand that you and I have never had a discussion. This is the first time we're talking, so there's no prior conversation. So I just wanted to put that out there.
that's right. So you have not been purchased or captured.
Right, exactly.
Okay. So let's go back to the article that we're going through so that we can see some of the things in context.
Sure.
Okay. Oh, we had SMM. No, now I lost the page. Okay, so let's go to the actual page that we were looking at. I mean the acquisition. Okay. Let's see whether we can recover. Yeah. Okay. Advocate, you have the article of 7 September. And Mr. Mjuru, the reconstruction order was issued by the minister on the 6th of September. So it only became news in the Herald on the 7th because the newspapers closed their stories the day before. So that's why you see the date. But it was reporting the events of the 6th of September.
Yes, I'm with you.
Yeah, then it says any persons managing or controlling the affairs of the companies in any capacity other than board members shall continue in office subject to the control and direction of the administrator. You understand that? That
Management remains, operational management remains where it was.
that the power of directors has been taken away by an administrative order. The administrators have the power to, subject to the rights of creditors of the companies, raise money in any way without the authority of shareholders for the purpose of the reconstruction of the company. And where government does not have 100% shareholding, it will appoint members of the board. SMM Holdings is a subsidiary of African Resources Limited, which is registered in the British Virgin Islands. Is that correct? It's not correct.
SMM is a subsidiary of the African Virgin Islands. SMM Holdings, which is the UK company.
No, this is the Zimbabwean company they're referring to.
But they didn't that Sabalema Shower mine in Zimbabwe?
Zimbabwe. Is it a subsidiary of Africa Resources?
It's a private limited, they registered.
No, it's a subsidiary of SMM Holdings, not Africa Resources.
Oh, but that's what I was saying, that SMM Holdings, this is SMM Holdings subsidiary. So SMM
No, this is a Zimbabwean company.
But the Zimbabwean company is a subsidiary of the SMM UK.
That's right.
Yes.
So you can see that the reporter did not understand.
Yes, yeah.
Then it says in 1996, ARL bought the assets of Tena Newell in Zimbabwe and Zambia, which included AMI's Teno Holdings and Tube and Pipe Industry in Zimbabwe for $60 million.
No, it bought the assets.
It,
Bought the shares, I mean.
it never bought assets.
It bought the shares, yes.
Yeah,
The assets are still held in the company's name.
that's right. But this is the journalism of people who have never what? Understood what a company is, what is it.
Maybe it was intentional.
No, that's why. I mean, you can't say Simba, he's got the same thinking. You can't say it's intentional. That's what.
No, I can talk for myself. I'm here.
Yeah.
Let's go back to, like I said, when you deal with smart people like you, we've got to be careful. Let's go back to, there's a reason why you guys put layers of companies, right? So that you guys can do what you do. This is a transaction. Explain it in a manner that somebody can understand what you're talking about right now.
Yeah.
Because I mean, this could have been simplified, Mr. Mawere, in terms of the structure, the corporate structure. If it was me personally, I would have not structured the way you did. But you've got your own reason. You could have simplified it. But we're not talking about me here.
How could you have simplified it?
I would have made, for starters, all those companies that are under SMM or holdings, I would have completely made them completely separate. The reason why you
Which
made
one?
them subsidiary and tied them, that's what made the legal jurisdiction world be able to compile all.
I'm saying they were subsidiary before, not by me.
You could have separated them, sir.
No, I mean, what would have been
different entities?
what would have been the reason?
Business 101 said that's what I would have done. You said I know what I would have done.
Okay, and how would you have separated them?
I would have taken some of these companies under.
I mean, no, don't be general. Don't general. Just say specifically, this company would have done this.
Advocate. And let me ask you the question: how many companies are you seeing under SMM Holdings?
Under SMM Holdings, UK.
The one in Zimbabwe. Let's go back to one in Zimbabwe. How many companies are you seeing under the one in Zimbabwe?
There's SMM Holdings in UK, which is the beneficial owner or beneficial shareholder of Shabani Mashara Zimbabwe, THZ Zimbabwe, and THZ Holdings, beneficial owner for Tube and Pipe, Drip and Plates, and then you have
TAP Zambia.
Right. So the base of my question here, in a legal, like I said, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm a junior businessman. I'm not as big as Mr. Mawere, but I'm a junior businessman. In the context of business, legally, I could have made those completely separate entities. Is that right or is that not right?
I think
It's a simple question, advocate.
you would have governed by your own interests.
Even right, because I do business for my own interest. I don't do business for your interest or anybody else's interest. I do business for my interest. So in terms of structure, if I was Mr. Mawere, I would have made those companies completely different entities. And here's why. When the net of the government came, it would have to have tackled those companies individually because they're different entities.
No, but you don't understand what where we are going, because we'll get there.
No, we just sidetracked a little bit in terms of, because
No, I'm saying is the government. Let's talk about.
Sir, you asked me what I would have done, so I'm answering the context of what I.
Now
would have done.
we've heard you, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah, and all we are just trying to correct was that the reporter did not get his facts correct.
We are also saying this is what Mr. Mawere did right. This is what Mr. Mawere might have not done right.
No, I'm saying is it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how far whether it's right or wrong. That's what it was. The companies that were acquired in terms of the agreement that was reached between the parties. You can't impose your agreement on somebody else. it has to be a meeting of the minds between the two parties.
I agree with that, but like I said, there's a reason why companies got bylaws and stuff like that. Bylaws can
No,
be
I'm saying you may have your own reasons, but I'm saying respect what was concluded and the minds of the people who concluded it. You can't
No, I
impose.
agree with, I agree
Yeah,
with that.
the moment I start, the moment I start imposing my own thinking, then
Sir, I'm agreeing with what you did. We can't change what you did. You asked me what I would have done.
okay. And I've said I've heard you, and we can now. It is the next paragraph. It is understood that 37 million was paid by 1998, leaving a balance of 23 million. So, what is your take on this agreement, on this sentence?
It means that the acquisition was done, payment was done, 23 out of the 60 million, 37 million was paid.
If the transaction was guaranteed by the government, would 23 million have remained as a balance?
No, because the government said they guaranteed 60, so they would have paid.
So, do you agree that the issue of guarantee in respect of the acquisition, it's actually mischief?
Advocate, come on, advocate. You've got to be impartial. Seriously, you are saying that if government came in and to be a guarantor or something, they should pay the difference. Is that what you're saying?
Okay. No, there's a part in the article that they say that it is not clear whether or not SMM used the guarantee to secure the fund, but the guarantee is still valid. This position is still to be confirmed. So I think
So if that
No.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm saying is first the understanding of what a guarantee is. Maybe you can unpack it.
a guarantee simply means that if the other party fails to make good on a repayment, then the guarantor will then chip in and be held liable for it and then pay off that debt.
So
In its case, it's not a loan.
no, I'm saying is
So basically, advocate, what we're saying is that a government can come in and indirectly assure the lender that if this person defaults, then I'm going to come in. It doesn't mean that government is putting the money up. It's just saying,
there won't be any balance left, because if you stopped paying in 1998, therefore
right now,
23 million you would then have to demand from the guarantor.
for the sake of the argument right now, the advocate was explaining the guarantor part. We are saying that the government is there to create stability and confidence in the lender. So it does not mean that
that's not a guarantee. Government is created to provide that protection anyway. I don't have to. That's not a guarantee.
No, but then if the government gives you a guarantee of $60 million, then you should give guarantee of $60 million to the other 14 million citizens of Zimbabwe.
No. I'm saying is, do you agree that when a transaction is guaranteed, the whole amount would be paid, whether by the primary borrower or by the guarantor? There won't be any money outstanding. Are we?
I agree with the general premises of that statement, but we have to see the devils in the details to what constitutes a default. When does the guarantor come in?
There won't be any devil unless you want to create one. There is no devil. It is what it is. If you have guaranteed a transaction and the primary borrower fails to pay.
Are you saying that the government of Zimbabwe or any government or government of the United States is going to be a guarantor to something that doesn't have a legal document attached to it?
I'm saying is this transaction, I'm just saying, reading that, it confirms that there could never have been a guarantee.
I can't argue with that because, like I said, you were directly involved. So
no, I'm saying, advocate, do you understand what I'm saying?
Just to check my understanding, my understanding is that if there's a guarantee, then should anything happen, then the creditor gets the full payment
Yeah,
from the guarantor.
that's right.
And there won't be any outstanding balance.
Yeah,
The transaction is what is guaranteed.
yeah,
For us to then be saying that there's an outstanding amount, it means that the guarantor is not there. There's no guarantor. Because if there was a guarantor, then the creditor would have simply say, okay, no, look, the person has failed to make good payment by 60 million that he promised that the payment.
Okay. Okay, we have some comment here. What is the comment? There is a guy called Silos Matope. This Mujuri guy needs to go and read company law. He's not understanding simple things like separate legal entity. That's one. And Zimbabwe Today. Okay. And then there's Oscar. Which community do you belong to? Are you in active citizenship? Do you believe that networks matter? To be part of this forward-leaning community, follow this link. Then, is there another comment? No. All right. And then we are reading government, shares will only be transferred on the payment of this outstanding balance. So if it was guaranteed, there won't be any deferment, is it?
Yes. Then be logical to say, because it's more like this now we're using security for the transfer.
Yeah.
To say we hold the transfer up until you pay.
Yeah.
This confirms that there's no guarantee, because if there's a guarantee, we then say, okay, no, look, we then transfer the shares. If you pay, then we get our money.
Okay.
The main effect of using shares is sort of security. Transfer of shares is security for full payment. It means that there's no other means of ensuring or of securing payment.
Okay. Then
We're using the shares as collateral.
then
Saying that if there's a guarantee, there's no need for collateral. That is my understanding.
in fact they even clarify further. Government is expected to assume liability for the 23 million as part of the restructuring. So if you had already guaranteed, you can't anticipate something that you have already done. Yeah?
It's expected.
Yeah. So what is done is done.
Which means that they have not paid this money.
They are not involved at all. What they are saying is, let's take the company, then we remove Mawere completely.
And then we inherit
The debt.
Okay.
So that was the motive. Not to restructure, because if the company is bankrupt, would you assume liability of a company that is what hopelessly insolvent? Huh?
No, you would not. But if you read the article, it got this thing that, okay, government was acting in the best interest of the workers and the community. So it was more like government was duty bound to intervene or to rescue the jobs and the community that depended on the operations of Shabani Mashawa mine. So as a proactive government, there's this impression that the government
Yeah.
ought to, you say something about government.
Government is by nature
Yeah.
and God vested in the people. And consequently, that power is derived from the people.
Yes.
So it is instituted by men to promote and protect their interests, not to substitute, not to step into someone. Someone fails to pay his mortgage, then the government comes in.
Yes.
We're still simple, just still making it so simple and trying to convince people that it was that simple. I still don't agree.
No, I'm saying we're just reading. I think it's not for you to agree or not. The fact
No,
is,
but then you're going into these perceptions that can be.
no, I'm just giving you said there's one version which says the government guaranteed the acquisition, and I'm saying on the 7th of September, the report in the Herald actually says the contrary. It says
You're going further. You're going further to quote that guy who wrote this thing in the 1700s, and was saying the interest of government is to protect Zimbabwean interest. So if the government felt that they needed to protect Zimbabwean interest when it comes to mine, it needs to be looked into.
they are not making that argument. Let's see what the argument they are making, so that we can then learn from the argument they are making.
Yes, let's continue.
Okay. Federal Mortgage of the United States acquired Turner and Newell after ARL had acquired the Zimbabwean and Zambian interest. Did ARL ever acquire Zimbabwean or Zambian interest?
Let's see.
Advocate.
ARL acquired the shares of SMM of TNA of SMM UK and TH UK and
TAP.
TAP. Okay.
And that was the end of the story. Nothing happened in Zimbabwe.
According to the agreement that you did now.
That's the only agreement. The chairman of ARL is Mutuma Mawere, and it is understood that there is no known board running the company. The company is what? In the BVI. Does Zimbabwe have jurisdiction over affairs in the BVI?
No.
Okay. Through the African
By the laws of BVI.
Through the African Resources International Limited, Mawere is a shareholder in a number of companies. Was I ever a shareholder in SMM Zimbabwe?
No, the shareholder of SMM Zimbabwe, SMMH UK.
Yeah. Okay. Then SMM as at July 31, 2004 is exposed to the tune of 41.8 billion arising from bank facilities extended to the group companies and guaranteed by the holding company, not by the government. Yeah? Is that correct? Then it says, for example, government issued a guarantee to enable SMM to source funds on the local market to the tune of 18 million loan. That is nothing to do with acquisition.
That is to source operational.
Yeah,
Not acquisition.
not acquisition. It is not clear whether or not SMM used the guarantee to secure the funds, but the guarantee is still valid. The position is still to be confirmed.
I think let's stop there, Mr. Mawere, for now. Let's then just go back
Yeah.
to then answer the I think we spent a lot of time between you and Mr. Trying to understand, to say, that, and I also think that's what is the public domain, that the guarantee was used to acquire the companies in the first place.
Yeah.
So if the guarantee was used, Mr. Mawere or ARL should not cry foul because they never spend a cent in acquiring the companies.
That's what.
The
Yeah.
companies are acquired through the guarantee.
That's the. That's the narrative that is there.
Yeah, so I think the part that we've just now read is very instructive to that. Then because saying that, for example, the government issued a guarantee to enable SME to source funds on the local markets for the
Yeah.
of $18 million.
Yeah.
Okay, this is to source funds on the local market for the operation.
Do you guys really believe that's what's out there? I mean, is that what you really believe at the core of your heart?
Which one?
I mean, I'm talking about the acquisition. I mean, is that what you really believe?
The acquisition here. What are you saying?
I don't know. I don't know if a lot of people are of the same opinion with me. Is
What is your opinion, Mjuru?
like I said, these are just opinions. They might not be factual. We know that Muchuma Mawere is a local Zimbabwean, right, who went to these schools and who started business in the early 80s, 84, 83, somewhere there. Then he left the country, went to work for World Bank and did all these things. Then he came back in the 90s.
Where did I come back?
I can finish the opinion. When he came back in the 90s to come back home, he went to South Africa. From South Africa, then he just walks into Zimbabwe and buys one of the biggest mining companies in Zimbabwe. Being a Zimbabwean, we know it just doesn't happen like that. We know that there are some things that happen behind the scenes that we're not going to talk about, that nobody talks about.
Oh,
Those are
okay.
what make people skeptical.
Ah, okay. So you're saying there's something that you know.
I'm saying what's on the domain is you came in from literally, like I said, you were not living in the country. Then you acquire one of the biggest mining companies in Zimbabwe that controls 10% of all the forex.
Okay.
For that to happen in Zimbabwe, for that to happen in Zimbabwe, if that was easy, then 14 million other Zimbabweans would just do it.
Okay. So are you now in the superstition game now?
I'm not in the superstition.
I'm saying is you are now saying this could not happen, is it?
No. We're saying people out there are saying there's something fishy about the transaction. That's what I'm saying.
I'm saying that you have now had the benefit of looking at the agreement.
Yeah.
And you are still saying the agreement means nothing.
Mr. Mawere, I'm saying I'm Zimbabwean and I'm African and I don't have this.
No. Can I share with you the guarantee that is one of the guarantees that is being mentioned, and you see what is said in the guarantee and when it was signed.
Sure.
Yeah. Would that help you?
I think we need to, let's say, the question at this point in time, what we want to verify or what we want to confirm is whether or not the RL by association Muchuma Mawere acquired the SMMH holding the holding shares using the government guarantee. I think the question that we need to ask.
That's a legal question that you ask because it plays to your strength.
But what he's saying is that I think what Simba is saying, death is not death. Remember, he's saying in Zimbabwe it's very superstitious.
I've never talked about anything being superstitious. I don't believe in superstition.
But you are saying that you know Zimbabwe better. Nothing that's that big would happen without.
I am saying Zimbabwe, like any other economy out there, you're going to find 1% of the population that have got a lot of power and access to a lot of things. Mr. Mawere, you are one of those people. You had extreme influence in the economy in Zimbabwe. So to say the ordinary person who's not part of that 1% is just going to come and buy a company like that, that is highly...
So what are you saying that what you are reading in the agreement is not what is in the agreement? There's another agreement.
I'm saying that in the whole navigation of this whole transaction, there are certain things that...
No, just say it. Just say what you want to say without having to burden us with... if you are saying that whatever you give me, I still believe what I believe, then we can stop here and say, look, there is no need to exercise anything because I can't really try to export myself into your mind.
No, Mr. Mawere, I'm saying as we continue to deal with that, to talk about what might have or might not have happened, we're saying you've got to understand the dynamics. You are a very powerful man.
No. I'm saying is the question that has been raised by Mr. Matiza, Advocate Matiza, he has said we wanted to inquire as to whether the acquisition of SMM could have been done with the support of a government guarantee, which is a financial instrument.
Are you saying in the course of from 1994, Mr. Mawere, all the way to 2000, you never had any meeting, any discussion with anybody in government in terms of facilitating the transaction?
There was nothing to facilitate. There was no Zimbabwean transaction. So I don't understand what the Zimbabwe government would have done for
It has, because if we go back to the mining company needs to operate in Zimbabwe. So
but there was no change in terms of ownership.
Okay.
Yeah, the company remained owned by SMM Holdings, UK.
And you never had a relationship with anybody in government?
No, I'm saying the transaction did not...
Simple question, Mr. Mawere. Did you have a relationship with anybody in government in order for your company to operate or not?
No, the government cannot dig asbestos rock and convert it into fiber.
We know that.
Yeah,
That's
so
why
why would I need somebody to operate? The people at the mine, I was never working for the company myself. I was not in Zimbabwe.
So in other words, what you're saying is right there when everybody's listening is that for that period of time, you never had a conversation, an exchange of emails, faxes.
If it is there, if it is there, then let the faxes come. I can't.
So there was no need for you to be the CEO or the chief.
I was never a CEO. Those are the facts.
Okay, being the shareholder. Okay, being whatever.
I'm saying is I was not a shareholder of the Zimbabwean companies because the structure did not allow me to have shares in the company.
So basically what you're saying is that there was no need for your operation in Zimbabwe to maintain a relationship with the government?
No, because there are many companies that have collapsed and government cannot help them because the government itself does not have the resources.
So you are operating in an environment in Zimbabwe where your company did not need to have...
Actually, the interference of government in terms of foreign exchange, in terms of this, even for you to be forced to borrow money when you have exported yourself, and then you are forced to borrow Zimbabwe dollars because the government needs the foreign currency.
That's not what I understand. That's where you want to go to. I'm saying this company that's mining in Zimbabwe under jurisdiction of Zimbabwean law. Your company did not see any need to have any relationship with the government.
No, I was. When I only became a director of SMM for 1 year, you know that.
Mr. Mawere, again,
I'm saying is the people, the companies are governed by directors, and employees are the ones who operate in Zimbabwe. I will not be a South African citizen if I ran away from Zimbabwe.
You were a South African citizen in 2002. This case hadn't happened yet.
No, I'm saying is that I'm saying is that the government only moved in 2004.
Right.
So in 2002, I was.
Sir,
yeah.
If you control a company that hires 4,000, 5,000 people, that controls 10% of the forex, that exports 90% of the product that's mining, you are saying that company is not going to have a working relationship with the government.
The company was previously ultimately controlled by Manchester based.
Sir, maybe that's where the problem is, where the company just started to think that it's their role to dominate government, because if a company like that does not see the need to.
So you are saying that the people in the UK needed to come to Zimbabwe to do what? The company before I was in the picture was.
Can I maybe just redirect the conversation to a more directed to the objectives of the discussion?
Yeah.
I think the question that Mr. Mclean is asking is that the company of that magnitude did it need to have a working relationship with government? Once, is the requirement, is there a need for that?
No, I'm going. There's no connection.
Whether you have relation or you have no relation, there's no.
It's not bearing.
It has no material bearing to the issue that we're discussing at hand. So
But if you want to personalize commerce, then you would come to that conclusion anyway. And
It's not about personalizing, sir. Again, I understand.
Now, do you understand the difference between the shareholders and directors?
I can explain it to you if you want me to.
I'm saying is that
don't minimize my understanding of business because you've got a position. I respect your position. Respect me as a Zimbabwean citizen. Those mines belong to us Zimbabweans. So you can structure, you can put any layers of companies and say I'm not connected because there's so many layers as much as you want, sir. Those minerals coming out of that ground within the jurisdiction of Zimbabwean law belong to Zimbabweans and they're under Zimbabwean jurisdiction.
So that's a separate argument.
that's a separate argument.
Yeah.
But that's what it comes down to.
No, it doesn't come to anything because you are raising
That's what it really comes to. A foreign company, right, with a parent in the Virgin Islands, exporting things from the ground and externalizing. Doesn't it come down to that?
No, there's no other.
We can then look at other companies that are operating in Zimbabwe. I'll give you an example.
Sure, we can look at. We don't need to look at other companies when we have this one in front of us.
Using money from there, but it's not registered in Zimbabwe.
Strive is not even in Zimbabwe.
Sure, we can look at. We can do if Thrives Masiwa is a man enough to do what you're doing, said to come here and sit here and listen to people like me, then we'll ask him the same question. But for today, we have you, sir. Your company was exporting 90% or 95% of its product. It was accused in South Africa of not sending money back to Zimbabwe. That's not concern for people like me.
No, it was never accused in South Africa. It was accused by the Zimbabwean government, not by South Africa. I don't know where you get your facts.
If your company had built and mined a lot of stuff and exported 90% of it and built a lot of schools and in those areas, and again, the product here is you didn't manufacture anything here. The product is a mineral that belongs to Zimbabwe.
But I don't know what is your argument really? What?
I think it was the duty of corporate social investment or corporate social.
No, my argument is that when a company that's owned by foreigners, right, comes into your country and mines stuff and takes it out, and there's any charge of externalization, I would rather have that mineral to stay in the ground until all that has been cleared. Because I'd rather have future generations come and mine it and do it properly. Because those minerals are part of the reason why our economy is not kicking up, because companies are externalizing. It's not just you, it's not just companies like this, it's companies in tourism, all these sectors. That's the basis of what I'm talking about. Okay,
so your point now is what?
So when we start talking about this, then we start explaining different layers.
No, that companies should be taken over by the government or what? I don't understand. What are you saying? That the government should nationalize and then protect the people. What are you saying?
I am saying, sir, I'll say it again. Mines where you don't actually manufacture anything. You're getting this from the ground. Then you export 90% of it.
You think
you need to look at what's happening to that.
You think do you know the asbestos industry?
Said there's nothing to do with the industry. Just let me finish for a second. Then you can come in. Companies like yours that are mining stuff from the ground, right? That belong to Zimbabweans. That should benefit mostly Zimbabweans. Then export it. If there's any comment of externalizing, the government should take a serious look into it. Even if it means shutting down the operation until answers are given for what's going on.
Okay, so
the government has to protect this. The government of Zimbabwe has to protect that child who's in Mabuku, who has nothing except those resources.
Okay, so you are saying that the government should have relationship with mining companies, and that those mining companies must be compelled to benefit Zimbabweans, however you define them.
I am saying the mining companies like your company should clearly understand that minerals don't belong to them; they belong to the people of Zimbabwe. That's what I'm clearly saying.
Oh, okay. So this contract,
right? So
this
so when you
contract,
come in,
this
when you
contract.
come in to partner with the people of Zimbabwe so you can sell the products overseas, it's a partnership.
Okay.
Right? And once that partnership breaks down and you're accused of externalizing and you're not bringing everything so back, that's a legitimate argument.
Mm-hmm.
So when we start having that argument, then you start giving us these folders of these companies. Like in the context of the law, I can see where you're going with it, and it plays to your advantage. But there's this perception that's out there in the public domain that I say maybe you need to address more. People think that you externalize money. Do people think that? Yes. Do people think that nobody just comes out of the blue who wasn't even living out of the country, and all of a sudden overnight they own the biggest mining company and that person didn't have connections? People believe that.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know, advocate. Hey, it's torturous.
I think the country is raising another argument, which
Because you can't even move to get anywhere because he's already got conclusions.
but to the subject matter of the questions that they have.
He has already departed from that. He says, I'm not interested in knowing how the company was acquired. At the back of what he's saying is that the resources are Zimbabwe. So whatever the government does, they're justified.
no, sir. I said you gave me a document that I saw today for the first time, and I'm going to read it, and thank you for that.
Yeah.
Then I went on to say, if your company is accused of externalizing funds,
No, I'm saying is let's go to the accusation. Then you see the mischief. But I'm saying is let's finish the order of business, and then we go to the next. All we're saying is that the fact is reported in the newspapers the day after the change of control. These are the.
That we finish the article.
Yeah, we finish the article. Then we can get into the debate. Otherwise, we become this 37 years chasing our shadows.
Let's finish the article.
Yeah.
The article at least.
And in terms of the law, a guarantor is a contingent creditor of the principal debtor and is obliged to meet the guaranteed debt if the principal debtor fails to discharge his obligations. So, advocate, you agree that is hypothetical. If a guarantee has been called, you won't even say that. They would say, on this day, so and so creditor called the loan, is it?
Yes, TNI.
Yeah.
They are calling the guarantee, not the guarantee.
They are not saying that. It is understood the government would be obliged to meet the guarantee assigned to the three financial institutions in the event that SMM fails to meet the debt obligations. They are not talking about TNN. They are talking about local financial institutions. It will therefore become a creditor to SMM Holdings on repayment of the loan and will be entitled to recover the repayment from the company. Would be. So when the minister took this action, all these things had not happened. There was no pregnancy. SMM has failed to pay its debts as evidenced by the attachment of its property by Field Technical Services, a mining equipment manufacturer, and threats of liquidation by Power Utilities ZESA. And there is no proof attached there. Was ZESA? No.
Property was attached by.
If it's attached, there is property to attach. So that's a commercial arrangement. Unless somebody who says Field Technical Services is not part of the government. Then SMM through Airmines has already received $63 million from the Reserve Bank Productive Sector Facility, which is further debt. This has nothing to do with acquisition. The growth of SMM has been anchored on the mining of Christstater fiber at AA Mines. AA Mines, which is made up of Shabani Mine in Shawani, established in 1917, and Gats Mine in Mashawa, established in 1914, is the fifth largest producer of high-quality Christstater white asbestos fiber in the world. AA Mine is a division of SMM Holdings. AA Mines employs 5,500 workers at the 2 mines, and the communities in Shawan and Mashawa are totally dependent on the survival of the mines. In addition, AA Mine is a major foreign currency earner and contributes significantly to gross domestic product, with plus or minus annual export earnings of $40 million US. Production at the mine has been on a decline from June 2003 to April 2004. Production fell from 157,264 tons in 2003 to 122,150 tons in 2004. SMM has also suffered low capitalization and diversion of cash resources. It is understood that out of the 35 billion generated in 2003, only 3.7 billion was spent on capital expenditure, resulting in high maintenance and overtime expenditure, as well as reduced production. It is believed that the remainder of the cash was spent elsewhere to expand the SMM empire and acquisition of machinery and equipment at non-group companies. It is because of these problems at the mines that there was little prospect of SMM meeting its obligations from their operations. In order for the company to meet its obligations, government is therefore likely to have to make good the guarantees that are used as security for some of the loans. It is understood the company suffers from bad corporate governance, and this will make any turnaround virtually impossible. In the event that government does not take corrective measures and intervene, it is inevitable that SMM holdings will collapse. It is imperative that government intervene urgently to protect the workers, the local community in Shawan and Mashawa, and the economy of the country at large. The restructuring is intended to substitute debt for equity as the government seeks to reduce the company's debt burden, thereby raising the value of the company. In order to secure national interest, the interests of the employees of the company and those of the local community, no shareholder is mentioned. A restructuring of the debt owed by the mines to government, statutory bodies and other government arms was imperative. In all this, you don't say, where has the government paid anything? The restructuring of SMM holdings will entail the conversion of the debt into equity, resulting in a shift in share ownership. So this was about changing share ownership, not about restructuring. A business at greater value as a going concern than if dismembered and liquidated, and therefore maximum benefit could be realized from all interested parties, creditors, shareholders, and workers through the July monetary policy provisions, which spelled out, among other things, the setting aside of 200 billion towards the rehabilitation of distressed industries around the country. The fund was established following government's growing concern over the decline in industrial production in the country's traditional hubs of economic activity. Over and above the conversion of debt into equity, government will mobilize and provide additional resources for working capital requirements of SMM holdings. This will be just and equitable to the employees, to the local community, and the country as a whole. AA mines can be restored to profitability given sufficient time and resources and a change in the shareholding and management. Besides AA mines, the following companies also fall under SMM: Tenor Holdings, in which SMM has 61% shareholding; Stillnet Zimbabwe, 61%; Kempspec, 100%; Seno Chemicals, 100%; FSI Trading, 100%; Tube and Pipe, division of Stillnet; Hast Zimbabwe, division of Stillnet; PMA Fasteners, division of Stillnet; General Beltings Limited, 51%; General Beltings, division of General Beltings, and Picot Muscu, division of General Beltings. The government has specified Enjurad Private Limited, Ukuban Investments, SMM Holdings, FSI Agricom, CFI Holdings, and appointed Mr. Reggie Saruchero of Kamelsa Chartered Accountants as the investigator in terms of the Prevention of Corruption Act. The move was to preserve the assets and to ensure the continuity of operations of the companies. They investigate or focus on group ownership pattern and structures, funding of acquisitions, and dealings resulting in the ownership structures, extent of liabilities, borrowings of the companies, use of the funds that were borrowed, major expenditure, intergroup flows of funds and diversions, and foreign currency deals that were conducted in relationship with foreign organizations and players as well as transactions between shareholders in the company. The finding of the investigation would, among other things, assist in determining the extent of indebtedness of the specified company. So if you are still investigating, then you are already saying you are indebted. Do you see any consistency?
They're saying that, okay, the investigator has been appointed, but he's going to investigate. So at the point of printing the investigation, it not commenced.
Yeah.
Besides that, the investigator is appointed.
And all of a sudden they've taken the company. The very company they're supposed to protect.
So it's more like now we are convicting first and then you investigate later.
Yeah. I already have made a conclusion. And then I have to investigate.
Yeah, the rules of natural law should be that you cannot have you convicted for 5 years or convicted of any crime before the investigation. If you use that example, could if you investigate first, after the investigation, then you are convicted. And in this case, it feels like something different when they're saying that, no, look, we have already issued the order, and then we are going to investigate later.
And we want to take shares. We are going to borrow money. We are going to convert this. Because if the company is in the mines, then why take the subsidiary, which is as Zimbabwe Juru was saying, why do you have to go after companies that are not the mines?
And another thing, where I would err on your side, Mr. Mawere, is delayed justice is the same as no justice. There I would agree with you to say that. But that doesn't conclude that there's no wrongdoings here. I still think that there are some wrongdoings that happened there, but the government, if I'm to place blame on government today, it's taking too long to conclude something that should have been concluded a long time ago.
No, I'm saying is
either way, somebody should know their fate as quickly as possible.
No, if there was wrongdoing, then you identify the wrongdoing. You investigate. I'm saying you don't make someone lose his property while you are investigating. What if you find your allegations are baseless?
No, sir, this happens every day. All this stuff would have been put in escrow.
Yeah?
All this stuff would have been put in escrow right now.
No, I'm saying is they were not. You on the one hand,
sir, if government thought that you committed a crime, right? They take your assets and place them in escrow.
But the same assets are being used by an administrator. On the one hand,
well, let me finish, sir. I'm saying where I think the government might have made a mistake, possibly, is to take your stuff, put in escrow while investigating. If you're cleared of all charges, the escrow is then returned to you.
But I'm saying, how do you return the assets that have already been used? Because they've appointed someone to use the assets. While they're saying...
We're saying the same thing. We're saying that if government, right, had a case against you, I'm not saying they have or they don't. If they have a case against you, your stuff will be taken and put in escrow.
I'm saying I don't know, I don't understand you, but on the one hand you are saying there's a case to answer. On the other hand you are saying they should have done this. If there's a case to answer, don't you accept that there must be processes?
I can answer that question. So if you let me answer it, I can answer it.
Okay.
I'm saying that this whole transaction, I really think that there's some things that went wrong on both your side and the government side. Then I went on to say, if government felt that on their side you did something wrong, take the company, put it in escrow.
But
you put it in escrow, right?
Advocate, you understand what?
While they're investigating too, the investigation shouldn't take 14 years.
But advocate, you understand what he's saying? Because I'm lost.
I think I do get where he's coming from. If we were to use an example, it's more like to say, no, look, the police will then put you in remand whilst they're investigating. And then once they finish, then they can release you from remand.
No, he's saying that there's a preservation order, that your assets must be put in an escrow. After the investigations are complete, then they restore the assets back to you.
If you are innocent.
Yeah, but these people never gave that opportunity for the assets.
That's why I'm coming back to say I've got opinions on certain things. That's why I'm coming. Number one, I don't think the government should have given you all that ownership in the first place, because the minerals don't belong to you.
Oh,
right?
I'm saying if you those are your own views. I don't know where that takes us, because other people, South Africans, Australians, Americans, they have interest in Zimbabwe. Are you saying that those interests must evaporate?
I'll answer that question directly, sir, and I'll answer it right now. If you're a foreign national or foreign country that does not bring any manufacturing into the country, and you solely want to come and get out minerals, we should not give you that ownership outright like that, because they are not yours.
So you are saying you are advocating nationalization or what? I don't know.
I'm not. I'm saying the same thing that happens in Saudi Arabia. You can't go to Saudi Arabia and start owning oil wells. It just doesn't happen.
So that's nationalization. Aramco then becomes the state company.
I'm saying.
Is that what you are advocating?
I'm advocating to say that if you come to Zimbabwe and you're not coming to manufacture anything. You just want to come and mine our resources, be it diamonds, gold, whatever it is. You cannot own that company outright, because you're not bringing anything to us. We already have you. All you are is an agent to dig up the minerals from the ground. These minerals belong to Zimbabweans, sir.
Oh, okay.
That's a fundamental belief that I have.
But I'm saying is, can I invite you to another discussion called resource nationalism?
You can invite me anywhere.
I'm saying is then we separate SMM from your other nationalism.
I think that's the best.
Yeah, then we don't have to mix too many arguments.
Yes.
Because Zimbabwe is not a communist country. And
this is where I go by saying we minimize each other's conversation.
No, I'm saying is you are saying that Zimbabwe. What you are saying is that the resources must be nationalized. That Mawere, you must be grateful that you are allowed to own 100%. And on the top of that, you are saying Mawere, you were part of a conspiracy, and this deal.
I'm saying.
I'm lost at all. Because I don't know.
I'm saying if you own a mine in some geographic location,
this is
got a responsibility.
No, this is Zimbabwe. This is Zimbabwe. There are people who are operating in Zimbabwe whose minds have not.
I'll give you another example, sir, so you can understand my standpoint. In Victoria Falls, Zimbabwe, there's a school called Chinotimba Primary School, which is exactly 3 or 4 k's away from the falls. The falls will generate $1 billion of revenue. Chinotimba Primary School is still the poorest school in Zimbabwe.
So what are you saying?
The government has got an obligation to make sure those schools are protected. Just like those schools that are close to the mines that you ran, sir. Those governments have got an obligation to protect those institutions.
But what are you saying? How does the government relate to companies? Outside the Companies Act, and you are saying that we must create a new law that will permit the government to then remedy all the ills of capitalism.
I'm saying people like me should advocate to the government to make sure that government is good structured, because they write the laws.
No, I don't know. You are saying the government must create a relationship with companies where it becomes
these areas where you're going to mine. That's what I'm saying.
So I just want to understand your mind, because I'm trying to, I'm struggling. Because you are saying that the government must have a relationship with companies. If there's no beneficiation, if there's no corporate social investment that you accept, then the government must take over the company.
No, I didn't say that, sir. I did not say that.
Okay, just say clearly what are you saying, because then I can understand you.
Right, I'll go back to what I said.
Yeah.
I said in instances where you guys are not bringing anything in terms of manufacturing or making any products, so you're not bringing parts to make cars, for instance, your company relies solely on natural resources that we have already, that we had before anybody of us existed.
Okay.
So these resources were given to Zimbabwe by God. They are rightfully ours. For your company that is registered in the Virgin Islands to come and mine our resources.
It never came to Zimbabwe. It has no legs.
Yeah, I'm giving you an example. I'm only giving you an example. While your corporations are making these agreements in boardrooms in England, right? Before you come and touch our resources that were given to us by God.
Also, you become God's protector, what?
I'm not saying I'm God's protector. I'm saying every.
Then you are saying that you have a new regime
no,
where you protect virginity, and
I am saying that
because I hear you to be arguing.
Sir, I'm saying the responsibility of the government to protect our inheritance.
So I don't know whether advocate. I think we have done now we need to take a rest because it's.
For me, I think the takeaway is that from the article that we've gone through today, it's clear that based on that publication that was published the day after the reconstruction order was issued, that the guarantee, there's no evidence that the guarantee was used in the acquisition of Israel. If there's from what is being said here, there was a guarantee to source local funding, source funding from local companies. And this guarantee had nothing to do with the acquisition.
Okay.
Because we've also gone through the acquisition agreement with the document that governs the transaction of acquisition. In that document, even though we didn't go through it, I think the buyer was ARL, which is based in BVI, and then the seller was TNN PLC UK, and TNN International UK. Selling what? Selling the holding companies based in UK that interest in the Zimbabwe assets. So I think if you were to look at this architecture to say, okay, no, look, if we put it on the book, so okay, no, look, the acquisition that happened in 1996, the one that was said in March 1996.
Yeah.
If you look at the evidence that's available, which is the purchase and sale agreement, and then say, okay, is there any implied or express mention of a government guarantee or a government involved? One would say impliedly this is about three parties, one based in BVI, being the seller, and then the other one, the seller based in UK, two sellers, TNN and TNI based in UK, and then the buyer, the RL based in BVI. There's no mention of a guarantor.
I think that's you took and Mr. Mjuru.
Yes, sir.
Just your summary of what you have learned or what you have not learned.
Like I said, I think it's a good debate, and as much as you and I are on different fence, I take off my hat to you because you've got to sit there and listen to people like me, and there's a lot of us out there. The more information, anytime we disseminate information and people get to understand further what happened, the better. Either way. So I take off my hat to you. I'm leaving here still thinking you're probably one of the most dynamic people to come out of Zimbabwe. You're smart and people underrate you. That's I still live with that. I just happen to disagree with you on this fact, and I think all this information should be available in the public domain so students can learn.
Okay, I think there we are, students. Yes, we are all students after all, because every day we are learning, and we are building our capacity as a people to learn and relearn. And somebody says that Mujuru is a statist and Marxist. So that's Chinga Indoro, who says Mjuru is a statist. But we are all here to learn. I think the only danger we have is when we reach the moment we choose to know that which we don't know, or to pretend to know that which is not there. Instead of allowing facts to have their own legs, their own eyes, and just treat facts the way they are. Because history never lies. History doesn't have eyes, doesn't have ears. What happened, happened. All we can do is we search for a better Zimbabwe, as we look forward, not backwards. We can be able to celebrate the victims, all of them, because in each one of them, we actually will draw lessons about what the purpose of government is and ought to be. And when we look at history in the rear view mirror, it will then fortify our position that we need to reimagine Zimbabwe of promise, where the rule of law, where excuses by human beings, where new arguments are imported on old facts, as if those arguments were relevant to the facts. Because if they were, they would have a spokesman of the day. Arguments that are raised after the fact only serve to divert, distort, and ridicule those experiences that we benefit from. We all know that the past will never shape tomorrow. It's done. But if we choose not to learn from it, then we will never be what we are. So students, yes, all of us are students. And I will never refuse to learn or to impart knowledge that is for free. It doesn't show that I'm smart. All it shows is what happened is what happened. Today, there are people without a future, and people are looking for answers. And if we give them answers, that will ignite their enthusiasm for this promise called Zimbabwe. That will inspire them to think differently and act differently. That will inspire them to look at anyone who borrows their power to use it for the purpose for which it was intended. So there we go. And I think we all need people like Simba, whether he's raising arguments for the purpose of having a conversation, or whether he's raising arguments for the purpose of enlightenment and deepening and broadening understanding of corporate institutions, then we have no problem. You have the agreement, you can read it, reread it, and then come to your own conclusion. And if you want facts, I can't change them and recreate the past. So, in conclusion, I will do the 1 hour. I got some requests for people to do another hour at 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock tonight as our time. Those who are interested in joining this conversation, is really about reimagining Zimbabwe. Where can one start? All I'm saying is let's start from what we already know. Let's start and find why James Makamba is outside South Africa. What happened to Vingirai? What happened to Mushore? What happened to Nyemba? What happened to Muderedi? What happened to Fundi? What happened to many other people because people would think it's Mawere trying to fight for something. So those who are interested in reimagining Zimbabwe and where to start, and what kind of idea do we need to ignite and inspire? If the rule of law, constitutionalism is what we require, let us also understand why Mr. Mujuri is in America and not protecting the minerals in Zimbabwe. Thank you very much.